Curtis Strange had made a promise to himself to one day win the U.S. Open in honor of his father, the father who had taught him the wonders of the game of golf, then died too young. He fulfilled that promise on Father's Day, 1988. The next year, he had others in mind, his wife Sarah and their children, Tommy and David, and Curtis did it again, won his second straight U.S. Open championship. And now, in 1990, he plays for himself to become only the second man in 95 years to win 3 in a row. This birdie on the 18th green on Friday kept him in the contest. And yesterday, this one on the treacherous 17th brought his goal within sight. Now, he could make out the shadowy form of Willie Anderson just ahead. Willie Anderson, the only man to win 3 in a row. A short time ago, Curtis teed off into whatever destiny awaits him in the final round. And off he went, continuing the strange quest, chasing the ghost of Willie Anderson down the fairways of Medinah. Yes, it's the final round of the Open Championship, and this is Medinah on a gorgeous summer afternoon with another great crowd gathered. The sun shines, the wind is up. That means that the final question on American Golf's annual examination paper will be a difficult one. 68 students of the game are taking the exam, and here are the current leaders. Billy Ray Brown and Mike Donald, of course, they haven't started yet. Neither have Tim Simpson, Larry Nelson, Jeff Sluman, or Mark Brooks. So many just behind them. All of these, except Fuzzy Zeller at the bottom at 5 under par. Strange and Norman, Faldo, Olazabal of Spain, Mike Reed, Steve Jones. Steve Jones 6 under on today's round. To the right of the screen, of course, the number of holes that they have played. Larry Mize and Chip Beck, Mike Hulbert, Scott Hoke, Scott Simpson there, Tom Seekman and Jack Nicklaus, 3 under par. Well, good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay reporting from Medinah. You know, they originally had planned to have the first U.S. Open 95 years ago in Newport, Rhode Island in September. But when they realized that the America's Cup yacht races were to be held in Newport that month, they moved it to October. 11 entrants showed up, 10 pros and an amateur. The crowd was small. The winner, a 21-year-old English import, Horace Rawlins, who took home a prize of $150, $50 gold medal, and custody of the cup for a year. His picture was on no cereal box. He didn't even have an agent. In fact, there were no agents, if you can imagine that. This year, there were more than 6,000 entrants, of which 156 teed off here on Thursday. The crowds have been enormous, 45,000 a day. And the winner, well, he'll win fame. Magazine covers, TV talk shows, all that, and fortune, a first prize of $220,000 and myriad endorsements. But more than that, he'll win glory. The glory of joining Horace Rawlins and Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, and all the rest as winners of the U.S. Open. Glory that'll last as long as this game of golf is played. Let's check in right now with our on-course commentators. First, Bob Rosberg, who'll be with the Curtis Strange pairing.
Thank you, Jim. I think Curtis and Mike Reed both got a real good break in that they were paired together for today's round. They played together yesterday, and they played very well. Both are serious, quiet golfers, and they get along great together. Now let's go to Ed Sneed.
Thanks, Bob. Today I'm going to start with Nick Faldo and Tom Seekman. I think the win today, for the first time this week, has brought 20 or 30 players in the field that have a chance to win the U.S. Open. I'm going to start with Nick, but I might move to Norman or Olazabal or any player that gets hot on the golf course this afternoon. Now let's go to Judy Rankin.
I'll be on the golf course today with Mark Brooks and Larry Nelson. They're somewhat similar in the fact that they're quiet and reserved, but their experiences are vastly different. If Mark Brooks can hit the ball very close to the hole today like he did yesterday, he will be a factor. Larry Nelson has the great experience in major championships. He's won 3 of them. Watch him today. Let's go to Jerry Pate.
Thank you, Judy. I'm standing here on the putting green in front of Medinah Clubhouse with our leaders, Billy Ray Brown and Mike Donald. Mike Donald has led major championships, but never this far in the event. Billy Ray Brown, this is his first U.S. Open championship. Can these two players handle the pressure? Can they become the U.S. Open champion? We'll have to see. Now let's go back up to Jim McKay.
All right, Jerry, thank you very much. And here is Peter Allis, who will be with us for the first portion of this telecast. Peter, I cannot remember a U.S. Open where so many had such a good chance so late.
No, the permutations are endless too, Jim, really, aren't there? Some big names going out early, some 2 hours before the last pairing are going out. If they manage to post a good score, or if they get to the turn in 33, 34 strokes, that's going to put more pressure on those players coming up behind. It's a breezy day, as they were saying, out on the course. It's certainly no easier than it's been. It's at any time. A practice round was a blustery day. Will somebody post a score that no one will catch? Will we see a new champion? Will an unknown keep going and plodding away and become the champion? Or will we have one of those dreaded playoffs? Can you imagine about 14 ties, 18 holes tomorrow? It's a horrendous thought. Let's go out and see how they're doing.
Very good, Peter. All right, here we go with the final round. Curtis Strange on that quest. 5 under par on the second tee. This is the par 3, the first of 3 par 3s that go across Lake Kadijah.
Only just got over.
Yeah.
This is where Ballesteros started as one of the great players going out late, but he dropped 3 strokes in the first 3 holes. That seems to have blown his chances.
Jeff Sluman. Oh, beautiful.
Nothing to stop him keeping going. I mean, he hits the ball straight if he holds a few putts, but that you can say that about 20 or 30 of them.
Nicklaus, second shot up ahead from the rough. Can a man 50 years old win the U.S. Open? He thinks so. Okay.
That got a nice bounce up onto the green, considering all the rain we had last evening.
Nicklaus safely on, and you can see that the wind is up. Now back to the first, and Tim Simpson at 6 under. His third shot, just a stroke behind.
It's very important for these later players, the last few groups, to get away to a good start. Of course, that's a simple thing to say. Everyone wants to get away to a good start, but you want to build your confidence. So from here, if he can just get down in 2, tuck a few pars away, and you see what he's left himself on the very opening hole.
Not the way to begin.
Well, it's all right if he holds the putt, Jim. If
Yes.
the ball runs into the hole at a nice speed and, you know, your nerves settle down and you feel good, it's when you get one of those putts or one a little bit nearer and you miss it on the first green that you have yet another inner battle to face.
Now, moving back towards the first tee, we'll find the second to last pairing. Mark Brooks
And
will play
Larry
first.
Nelson of Marietta, Georgia.
And with Larry Nelson, as you heard.
Mr. Brooks has the honor. Play away, please.
Mark Brooks, young Texan. Not a big man,
Good
5'7".
swing, good swing,
Yeah.
this man, Jim. A nice address position, looks nice and easy and comfortable, nice free sort of address and waggle of the club. Nothing wrong with that. Let me have pushed it a bit. See, maybe okay. No, that's perfect.
Oh, just fine. That white object you see is the 150-yard marker, so he'll have about 140 to the green. Larry Nelson, former winner of this championship, and always at his most dangerous in major championships.
Very unheralded player. When you think what has he won? 3 major championships? And,
Yes, 2 PGAs and an Open.
And people tend to sort of dismiss those achievements as if, well, you know, he's not very exciting, but he could win today.
43 years old. Oops.
He needs to keep out of there, though.
Into the 4-inch rough. That's the deep stuff. Jeff Sluman now with that birdie attempt on the first to tie for the lead. You'll be hearing that a lot today.
That was either a misread or a misstrike or a bit of a...
Or U.S. Open.
Bit of a soft shoe shuffle there. That wasn't too good an opening stroke.
But he has his par. Out of the second, Curtis Strange just cleared the water on the par 3 hole.
The Ballesteros took 5 here, so dropped 2 strokes and then dropped another one at the 3rd. Curtis needs to just trundle this up. Right. Nice and tidy to the hole side again, you see. Just a bit left to do, eh?
To be a problem. He's 2 strokes out of the lead. Now Nicklaus 4 strokes behind, but for a birdie at the 6th hole.
Jack needs to find that putting stroke that he had last week at the seniors, Mazda seniors. He'll frighten a few if he gets that going. It was a good putt though, wasn't it? It struck well, at good speed at the hole, just shaved it.
It wasn't tentative though, was it?
No, it's a beautiful stroke.
Playing in his 34th consecutive U.S. Open championship.
Some record.
Won it 4 times, second 4 times, top 10 18 times.
Amazing.
Now Curtis for the par, the 2nd hole.
Yes, he doesn't want to be dropping any strokes early on. It's very easy to say, you know, you must get your 3s at the short hole, but they really are key holes. It's like taking, you know, you must really never take 6 on a par 5. That's a very sort of wounding score.
You could see the beads of perspiration already on Curtis. Hot day.
Curtis got off a little shakily. Really needs this badly.
Right, Bob. No. And that'll drop him to 4 under.
He seemed a little nervous, Jim, on the practice tee and the practice green. He still is a little worried about his putting. He's putted a lot better, but not as well as the Curtis Strange that you usually see.
So now he's 3 strokes out of the lead as he moves to the 3rd tee. Back to the first fairway. Mark Brooks.
Mark has 155 yards to the hole. The flag is in the very back portion of the green today, and right now he's trying to gauge swirling winds. It would appear that the wind is coming from his right, and I think we heard him say he's going to hit an 8-iron.
One of the many great planes droning by overhead.
Headed for O'Hare.
Now these fellas need a couple of nice iron shots into the green. Away to a nice smooth start if they can.
And
Well, a little bit lucky there. You see, just came onto the edge of the green. Could have easily bounced the other way.
now on tape, here is Steve Jones, 6 under for the day, 5 under for the championships, but it's his 3rd shot on the par 4 18th hole. Oh, what a shame.
Well, he had it all going. If he could have, well, if ifs and buts, if he could have got no more than a 4, he could set a good target.
Jess Lumen on the 2nd tee. All right. Smack in the middle. All right, let's have a look again at the leaderboard. There it is. The U.S. Open was first played in the Chicago area in 1897, fittingly at the Chicago Golf Club. The winner was English-born Joe Lloyd, who then had a club job in Massachusetts. The Open actually was then nothing more than a tag-on to the U.S. Amateur played earlier in the week on the same course. In fact, the Open was a 36-hole event done in one day so that the pros wouldn't be away from their clubs too long. Joe Lloyd's prizes, $150 and a handsome gold medal. Now to the first tee, the final pairing, and Ron Reed, the starter of the USGA.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final pairing of the 90th United States Open Championship conducted by the United States Golf Association. The referee is Grant Spaeth, president of the USGA from Palo Alto, California. The observer is Buzz Taylor of Lake Forest, Illinois. Mr. Taylor is a member of the USGA Executive Committee. The special observer is Michael Attenborough, captain of the Royal and Ancient Golf Club, St. Andrews, Scotland. The players are Mike Donald of Hollywood, Florida. And Billy Ray Brown of Missouri City, Texas. Mr. Donald has the honor. Play away, please.
It's Billy Ray Brown, 6'3", 195, burly, soft-spoken man playing his first U.S. Open. Now, Mike Donald. Well, that's about as middle as you can get.
Nothing wrong with that. It's moments like this, Jim, that the inner battle takes over. You've got to be get at peace with yourself early on. Everybody gets nervous. But I always felt at times like this, you always think, what is the worst thing that can happen to you? Well, you know, the worst thing is somebody can jump out and hit you on the head with a crowbar. So you try and enjoy it. The great thing is, look, it's not life or death, really. I'm going to try and enjoy this, concentrate as hard as I can. Think what I'm doing, try and put it on the fairway and then get it on the green. Savor the moment and enjoy it. Not easy to do, but there's two good drives there.
Beautiful. Certainly one of the hardest shots of the day, the first one, I should think. Here they come.
Hey, Gardner, get well, man. Get back with us. Hey, Mom and Dad.
That's a little poise, huh? Well, that was going on. Here was Mark Brooks on the first hole. Remember, he had a narrow escape from the bunker there. It's good.
Yes, it's a nice, tidy par 4. And this first hole down between the trees, giant oaks, so many of them here at Medina. The fairway slopes right to left, and it just curves round a little bit at the end to a really sloping green. Not a huge target. There you see the green there at the end, and the lake just beyond. Bunkers left and right. Slightly elevated green. You don't want to go whizzing through the back of this green, or missing it to the left leaves you an awkward little chip back up the hill.
And you saw some of the many thousands of trees of Medina, of which you'll see a lot today, of which the competitors hope you'll see very little. Mark Brooks on 2.
182 yards today. 4 irons, club of choice for most players. That bunker's caught a lot of balls this morning, Jim.
Any particular reason they're going left?
Well, the wind's coming across the lake from their right to left, and if you try to get too greedy with this pin, that's where you're going to put the ball.
Curtis with a chance to get back the one he lost at the second hole.
It's sort of an indifferent second shot. Got way up in the air and missed to the right.
More of an approach putt here than the birdie attempt.
Or is it that? That's a very beautiful putt from such long range.
I should say.
Greg Norman going well, Jim. 6 under now after 10 holes. That's 4 under today.
Here's Larry Nelson, former champion.
Larry with a 4-iron. This is a good-looking shot. He made a great confidence builder at the first hole, an 8-foot second putt.
That putt then to tie for the lead. Billy Ray Brown, second shot on 1.
Billy Ray with 155, pin on the back right, 28 yards. Very difficult pin placement. Wind coming from right to left. He has an 8-iron.
The voice of Jerry Pate is with that group.
That ball looks like it needs to get up just a little bit. It's a good-looking shot on line. Wind seemed to knock it down. The wind is really coming up now. It's going to be a big factor today.
27 years old, Billy Ray Brown, again in his first U.S. Open.
And he had to go through the qualifying rounds. And who was the last person to go through the qualifying rounds and win the Open? The gentleman out there with him, Jerry Pate.
Mike Donald, same distance, 155 with a little 7-iron. Mike likes to work the ball from left to right, so I think he'll take this 7 and sort of hold it into that crosswind. Both players extremely nervous starting out today.
Come on, man. Come on.
All right.
Pretty good stroke there, 2 good seconds.
I'm very impressed with these guys. So far, they were very, very nervous.
Nicklaus in a bunker. Third shot at the 7th hole. Seventh hole is a par 5. If that is in fact his third shot, he's in pretty good shape. Now again, the leaders, Brown and Donald, still in the first hole. Then Greg Norman, look at that, 6 under par, only a shot out of the lead all of a sudden after 10 holes. Tim Simpson, Larry Nelson, Jeff Sluman, Mark Brooks, all 1 shot out of the lead. Nick Faldo at 5 under. Larry Mize right there. Mike Reed, Curtis Strange at 4 under. Olazabal of Spain, Fuzzy Zeller, the former champion, back on the track. Steve Jones did a fine round of 67 today. All those. Jack Nicklaus at 3 under. Scott Simpson still not out of it. Phil Mickelson, the amateur, 3 under for the day and for the championship. He's the left-hander from Arizona State. And a lot will be heard of him. Now to the 5th hole, the only man with a chance at the fabled professional Grand Slam that's never been achieved this year. Of course, he won the Masters, giving him that opportunity.
Jim, this putt is very, very fast. It's going to break to his right, and he really has to be careful if he could knock this 3 or 4 or 5 feet by.
Get in there. Go! Go!
Careful enough.
Oh, yes. What a putt that. I was just going through that leaderboard with you there, Jim. Some terrific names from the world of golf on the leaderboard. It's a long time since I've seen so many big names and with a chance to win a championship.
And yet the lesser known ones still by a thread on top.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that brings Nick Faldo to 6 under, 2 under for the day, and within a shot of the lead. Well, there you see, winners of Masters and the U.S. Open in the same year. There have only been those. First green now. Ray Brown.
This putt from about 25 feet uphill, breaking from right to left. Kind of putt you don't want to really give it an aggressive roll on the first hole. I think he just wants to cozy it up there, try to make 4, get started.
Good line.
Okay.
Good line. Well, Jim, it's 77 years since a player won this championship at his first attempt. So, Master Ray Brown now, Billy Ray, may he's got as good a chance as any.
Yep.
Taking home the great trophy.
Up on the 2nd hole now, we have Larry Nelson with the putt that could tie him for the lead.
Jim, this putt is shorter than the 2nd putt that he made at the first green. This is about 7 feet, I would guess, and at an angle where there may not be a lot of break to this putt. Obviously, though, if it swings to Larry's right.
Silhouetted against the waters of Lake Kadaija, of which you will see quite a bit today. And second hole, the 13th, the 14th, just on the tee shot there, on 17.
He's wearing the clerical purple today.
Yes. Or the Royal.
Yeah, he's a very cool cookie, this fella. I've admired his play for a long time.
Took up the game at the age of 21. That's very unusual.
And within 3 years was out on the tour, which is even more remarkable for him.
Now Mike Donald.
This putt from about 7 feet downhill.
Mike Donald has the lead by himself. He's 8 under par. 34-year-old touring professional. Nicholas trying to go 4 under at the par 5 7th.
And yes, it came through. That was a beauty. It looked as if it was going to leak away to the right. Tell you what, he's a tough cookie as well, isn't he? Wonderful player.
So he hangs on 4 strokes behind Mike Donald. There it is, Billy Ray now a shot out of the lead. Then Norman, Faldo, Simpson, that's Tim Simpson, Nelson, and Sluman. This is going to be something.
It'll be someday.
Greg Norman still looking for his first U.S. Open. He's had so many.
Look at these great names, though, on the board here,
Yeah.
Jim. Everywhere you go, and they're all within, 5 or 6 strokes, and so much can happen. I mean, if you were a betting man, you'd have to think that a playoff is almost inevitable. Surely, can somebody just break away and do something spectacular over the closing holes to just sneak in and win the trophy?
Takes only one.
Yeah.
Jeff Sluman on the 3rd hole.
Look at this. I mean,
His 3rd shot.
very good.
You said yesterday that these fellows have almost made up and down from the bunker automatic.
Well, I think you should erase the word hazard. It's no longer a hazard for them.
Leader.
That's a 5-iron. Just left of the flag. Good looking shot. Oh, my. Almost went in the hole.
That was a fantastic shot.
That to go 9 under. What a start. Now, a strange defender going after 3 in a row.
He's 180 yards from the hole. Straight downwind, pretty strong wind. 6-iron.
Okay, Russell.
This is a great looking shot.
Oh, but short.
Carried another foot, it might have been good. It carried right in the upslope.
Is the wind against him or what?
No, straight downwind.
Downwind. 434-yard par 4. Like his caddy was pointing across there. We mentioned that Phil Mickelson was 3 under, but he has just taken a triple bogey in 15 to go even. The amateur.
Well, they're both on.
The other amateur, David Duval, had gotten it to 3 under after 6 holes. He since has lost 7 shots to par. He's 4 over after 16. It's the U.S. Open. Mike Reed on the 4th.
He's about 175 yards. It's a very difficult shot. Downhill lie out of the light rough.
That took a bounce.
Ran right on through. Mike 4 under right now. He's lost a shot on the 3rd hole. No, mentioned Greg Norman. Let's catch up with him on the 11th. 6 under for the championship, 4 under for the day after rounds of 72, 73, and 69.
Yeah, if he could get a couple more birdies and no bogeys from here in, I mean, he could be the first one to really set a target that may not be matched. But
Norman only made the cut by 1 stroke. Faldo, 6, coming out of the rough.
That was from 190 yards, Peter, out of the rough and a very thick lie. He did very well to get that ball on the front of the green. Excellent shot.
Back to Greg.
Unfamiliar outfit he's wearing today. I don't think I've ever seen him in those colors. Changing his luck.
Get there.
As I said, he only made the cut by a stroke, and at that point was 10 shots out of the lead. We'll return with more golf action from the 1990 U.S. Open Golf Championship. We'll do that after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So Mike Donald leads the U.S. Open in the final round. He's led championships before in the first round. Never got this far. This birdie could put him 9 under, give him a 2-shot lead for the moment.
This putt is only about 4 feet long. It is a very, very fast, dangerous putt. Ball's going to break slightly from his left to his right. Speed is the most important factor here.
Yep. 9 under. Birdie start for Mike Donald. Frank Hannigan talked to Mike yesterday. Here's something of what he had to say.
This is your 11th year on the tour. You happy you did this for a living?
Oh, you know, you couldn't have a better job. You know, there's 30 million people who wish they were doing what I do every week. And, you know, every week I'm thankful that, you know, I have an opportunity to play golf and that I'm good enough. And, you know, it's just been a dream.
You've gone through to a different level in the last couple of years. I mean, you were okay for 8 or 9 years, but now you're on a different level. You're better. How did that happen?
Well, you know, 1988, I almost lost my card right at the end of the year. And, you know, I think at the end of the year, I realized that, you know, it's time to you know, stop hanging around and start playing a little bit better. And, you know, last year I broke through and got my first win and finished 22nd on the money list. And, you know, this year I've played some good rounds in some major championships, and I feel like I'm getting better. And you know, golf's always fun as long as you feel like you're getting better. When you start feeling like you're getting worse, then that's when it doesn't become fun. And, you know, I just always trying to improve.
Still improving today. Here's Nick Faldo. Now 3 shots out of the lead.
He's a beautiful long putter now. He's developed that part of his game very well.
That was on tape, but now live here is Tom Seekman, his fellow competitor of the day.
He's putting for par here, Jim. He drove in the rough and had to pitch out. Played his 3rd shot to this position. Very fast putt.
The triple bogey that had been reported for Phil Mickelson has now been changed to a double bogey, so he's still 1 under par, the amateur.
Tom looks as if he's putting with a converted grand piano there.
Okay, Mark Brooks on the 3rd.
He got up and down out of the bunker at 2, Jim, but this is really going to test him. He only has about 12 feet of green to work with. He's really got the blade laid wide open.
Could do much better with it.
Excellent shot from where he was.
Very good shot, Judy, wasn't it? A lot of bunker to go over before he got to the green.
Like so many, he had problems at 17 yesterday to the point where he threw the ball in the lake. That's pretty cool so far today, although having problems. Tim Simpson, the 4th. This is the 434-yard par 4. As you said, feet of the rub of the green, taking one more bounce forward.
Yep.
Larry Mize has gotten to 1 under for the day. It's tied for 3rd place.
Just needed a little more.
That's the 6th hole where he is, 445 yards.
This wind is making the course very different from the previous 2 or 3 days, Jim, isn't it? There's just enough breeze to make people think, particularly when it swirls around in the trees.
Great day for the spectators. Just enough breeze to keep them cooled off. The temperature in the high 80s. It's summertime in Chicago. So the bogey, Mark Brooks, drops him down.
It's 3rd hole, 412. The leaders are coming on this hole now, and you see down through the avenue of trees, Medina created out of a great forest. Trees on either side, and as over the years they've grown bigger and bigger. So it makes it rather claustrophobic at times, and there you see down there in the shadows the green with the 2 rather flat, large bunkers on either side. That's how it's been playing. Only 53 birdies so far.
Just about even between birdies and bogeys.
Yep.
That bogey, by the way, dropped Mark Brooks to 5 under for the championship. Jeff Sluman on the left, looking it over. Again, Mike Donald by 2 now over Billy Ray. 3 over Norman, Faldo, Simpson, Mize, Nelson, Tim Simpson. Scott Simpson is further back. Jeff Sluman in that group also. Then the young Spaniard and the former champion Zeller, Brooks, Curtis Strange, Steve Jones, he's finished in 67. So he needs this one. So bogey for Jeff Sluman. And we'll drop him down to 5 under. Mike Donald now the leader on the 3rd hole.
That's a 2-iron from 200 yards. The wind has really picked up right into the player's face.
Is this man pumped up or not, Jerry?
That was a nice little bounce, wasn't it?
He's
Nice
swinging
one.
well, Jim.
Yeah. Billy Ray Brown will be next.
Billy Ray Brown from about 180 hit a big drive on this hole, and as I said earlier, the wind is starting to gust now somewhere between 5 to 15 miles an hour, and it's right in the player's face on this hole. He has a 5-iron. Really a long striker of the ball. Solid striker. It looked like he hit that one up in the air a little bit. If you get the ball above the trees, the wind really affects the ball.
It almost plugged in the green, Jim, didn't it?
Almost, yeah. Well, of course, we had heavy rains again last night. We had a thunderstorm that struck about 7 o'clock in the evening, and this course was doused once more. So they are holding. as you saw. Tim Simpson trying to creep up one closer. Tied for 20th in putting, as you see in this championship so far. He'll stay at 6 under.
He's still there or thereabouts, you know. It's amazing what a couple of good shots or an unexpected long putt dropping in can do for you.
Back to Jack Nicklaus. It's 3 under, even for the day. He'd gotten it to 4 under, but then he bogeyed 8.
That was a nice bounce from the fringe.
So Jack playing quite consistently today, birdie and a bogey. Larry Mize now gained 1 on par today.
He's using his putter from just off the green. You count that as a 2-putt or a 1-putt. That's what fools the statisticians.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really count it as putts unless you can clean the ball.
Former Masters champion from his hometown of Augusta, Georgia. So it goes. Mike Donald leading the U.S. Open. The great English champion Harry Barden toured the United States for most of the 1900 season, sponsored by Spalding as a promotion for their new gutta-percha ball, the Barden Flyer. Barden played exhibition matches wherever golf had taken hold in this country, and wherever he went, he left behind converts to the game, which was still in its infancy here. But the highlight of Barden's tour was his triumph in the 1900 U.S. Open at the Chicago Golf Club. Barden played with a degree of consistency and control that put him in a different league than the American pros. Here's Greg Norman on the 12th hole with his 3rd shot. The 12th hole, par 4, 462. Needs to get this close.
Go, Greg. Go. Go. Go, Greg. Go.
Yeah, he'll need that, but it's still rolling.
That's doing better than I thought it was doing. It was perfect distance. Just pushed it out a bit to the right, but he's 5 or 6 feet away. Now he can't afford to drop any strokes from here on, Jim. If he's going to set a target, and maybe win the championship or get in a playoff or be very close to winning it, he's got to hold this putt. 6 under at the moment.
On tape, the 3rd shot of Curtis Strange on the 5th hole, par 5.
That was from 90 yards after Curtis hit his drive into the bunker and played a good second short of the green.
Oh, look at this. Good afternoon, Curtis. Welcome to the U.S. Open.
Now that should be a birdie.
Larry Nelson, 2nd shot on the 4th.
Jim, that was out of a pretty bad lie in the rough. Probably as good a play as he could make.
Okay, Judy. The leader.
Another chance for a birdie.
Not this time. This is Mike Donald's 4th U.S. Open. In 1984, he tied for 34th, and he missed the cut in 87 and 89. Now Norman for the par.
Let him in.
Yes, indeed.
That's very, very comfortable at the moment.
Those are the ones that win U.S. Opens, right?
Well, the next 6 holes are going to be very important for him.
Now Mike Donald on the 4th tee. bogeyed this yesterday.
That ball looks like it's hanging down the right-hand side, just across the right side of the fairway. Mike not using a driver very often, playing a metal wood spoon off these tees.
Okay, Peter.
434 yards. Again, you see the characteristic here on nearly every hole at Medina is down through these fine stand of trees. Fairways for the USGA Open Championships usually running around 30-32 yards in width. And, well, the rough's pretty thick, but I've seen it thicker over the years. There you see the 4 bunkers around this green.
Billy Ray.
That ball's going to fly in the trees.
It certainly did.
Off to the right.
Drop down, you see some of the crowd and the officials headed for it. Big problem. The first really big problem of the day, it looks like, unless he's fortunate enough to have some kind of an opening in the trees. Curtis Strange on the 5th hole for a birdie.
One thing about these par 5s, Jim, it doesn't really matter where you drive because you lay up on almost every one of them.
Perspiring, I'm just going to say he's perspiring a bit less than he was.
Yeah, it's a little breezy up here on this high point in the course.
Well, that gets him back to where he started, 5 under par.
Yep, 4 shots out of the lead. And on he walks. Now, Faldo, the Masters champion, looking over a birdie attempt.
Yeah, it's not all that far away either.
Peter, this is a guy to watch today. I mean, obviously, we know he can play golf, and he's performed well in the Open before, losing to Curtis in a playoff 2 years ago. But he is on his game today, and he's determined. He's playing high percentage shots, and he's going to be tough. I can't help but think he'll be right in there at the end.
2 under par so far today.
Played an iron off this tee, drove a foot or so into the short rough, and then laid back quite a ways. Been hit a great 3rd shot in here from about 175 yards.
Great shot. I love those close-ups of the green and the putter head.
Now Curtis, as you can see, hello. I think that's just a piece of paper blue. It wasn't thrown, was it, Rossi?
No, I don't think so.
Seem to be settling down, Bob?
Yes, I think so. Bogey at the 2nd hole is just like when a fighter takes a punch. Then you got to get going. Everything kind of disappears. The things you've been thinking about overnight. And now he's back playing.
He has a bit of a cheering section.
He's getting great fan support, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we could hear it.
This hole's playing tremendously long.
So, see the fairways hit by Curtis Strange. He ranks #1 in fairways hit, tied for 1st in greens hit. Putts, however, tied for 58th.
Well, this is the 6th hole, 445 yards, a little bit more open on the right-hand side for the first half of play on this hole. Just that bunker lurking up there on the left in the shadows. And then bunkers again down by the green. Said before, they're rather flat. They're large bunkers. They're not frightening bunkers. You don't get the feeling that, unless you're very unlucky, a ball is going to plug or give you a shot where you've got to play out backwards. He's got this wide stance, just a little bit of transference of weight there. Looks to go back onto the right foot. But now just watch from the top how he goes onto the left heel and drives right through and has that beautiful balanced follow through, that straight left leg right through the target.
That was a beautiful
simple,
swing.
Very sound and very simple swing.
Now to the 8th tee and Nick Faldo.
You see the branches behind there whipping about Jim, gives you some idea of how breezy it can be in certain parts of the course.
Peter, this hole today is almost 200 yards, 199, I think, to be exact. I'd say that's almost 200, but it's straight into this strong wind. So it's going to play like a hole of maybe 220 yards. Nick has taken a 3-iron.
Is he? Now we wonder if that'll be enough then, Ed, eh?
Well, he must keep the ball down. He is a very strong player and is hitting the ball very solidly today. So if he hits it solidly, I think he can get there, but he has to keep the ball down out of that wind. Started low and then it rose into the wind.
Came up short.
Well, he just finds though. He's on the green all right.
Yeah.
You see how where the pin is tucked away in that top left-hand corner? And with the windy condition, this is a difficult par 3 today if the wind's going to keep up its momentum. So you get no marks for going over there. I tell you, missing the green on the left.
Grandstands all around the golf course. Every year we seem to have more spectator viewpoints. Can you imagine if Faldo would win this, what it would be like at St. Andrews?
Oh, there'll be plenty of them there.
11 years on tour. He'd won once last year, the Anheuser-Busch Classic.
That's a 5-iron from 196, playing straight downwind, and that is all line.
Yes, it is.
That's a beautiful shot.
Now, Billy Ray Brown, remember, was way in the trees on the right, and he did have an opening.
Looks to have a fairly good lie as well.
That's a good-looking shot there. A little knockdown 5-iron, and he did have a good lie.
That's gorgeous. Lovely shot by Billy Ray Brown. And there he goes. Might get him going again. Now Strange. Be a lot of wind checking today, throwing the bits of grass.
So yeah, I like the way the courses are presented now, Jim. You see the crisscrossing of the fairways, and you're a racing man. When you get closer to the green, these sort of little squares are rather like the horse's hind quarters, all nicely shaved.
They're all dappled out.
Yeah.
Curtis is 215 yards into the breeze with a 1-iron. He's going to have to really nail it.
Oops, into the bunker.
Yeah, not far from the hole either. If he's lying well, it won't be too difficult a shot, although the wind will be a bit behind him.
So the man with the quest has a problem. Curtis Strange looking for 3 in a row. Although born in Scotland, Willie Anderson's game was shaped in this country. Anderson was a wanderer who in 14 years was the pro at 10 different American clubs. In 1904 at the Glenview Club in the northern suburb of Chicago, Anderson won his 2nd straight Open and his 3rd in 4 years. Anderson did it again the following year, the only player to win 3 straight U.S. Opens. Willie Anderson, only 24 when he won the 1904 Open, was dead at 30. Greg Norman, who trailed by 10 strokes at the end of the 2nd round, now within 3 shots of the lead. If he makes this putt, he'll be within 2 and tied for 2nd place with Billy Ray Brown. And so he is.
He's got to keep doing this, Jim, if he's going to perhaps win this championship. He's now only got 5 holes left. He needs, I think, a birdie, maybe 2 birdies, but he's in great shape.
Well, there you see it, and he's 5 under for the day. Now let's go over to the man who conceived and wrote all the lyrics for that wonderful musical opening we had today, my friend Jack Whitaker.
Thank you very much, Jim, and welcome to this final round of the 1990 United States Open. Seldom has a leaderboard presented such possibilities as this one has for the 4th round. And what possibilities indeed. A 5th unprecedented win for Nicklaus, a 3rd in a row for Curtis, get the monkey off Greg Norman's back. It was going to be today more dramatic than Twin Peaks, and that's exactly what has happened. The early going today was soft again. The rains fell all night, and Medina was very kind early on, and we had a couple of 68s and 67s. But now the wind is up, and the course is going to be different. Faldo and Norman presenting some charges, but they're being kept at elbow's length by Mike Donald and Billy Ray Brown, and I think it worthy to mention that those two young gentlemen, and Mark Brooks to an extent, have never been in this position before. They're in the vortex. The pressure never gets worse in tournament golf than it does here at the Open, and they've carried themselves magnificently up to this point. Anyway, we're going to have a very turbulent final hours in this championship, and as Betty Davis said in that great movie, fasten your seatbelts. Jim?
Okay, Jack. We've had ours on since we came on the air. There it is. 2 shots for Mike Donald over Norman and Billy Ray Brown by 3 over Faldo, Tim Simpson, Larry Mize, Curtis Strange at 5 under, the Spaniard, Irwin still in it, Zeller, Steve Jones, he's finished. He can't do anything more. Curtis Strange at the 6th hole, 445-yard par 4, his 3rd shot.
Yes.
Well, he must secretly be delighted. It may have gotten, I mean, you know, such are things that dreams are made of, but that was very good to get it so close.
Now Faldo. Very long putt. Started in there at the end. Now on the 5th, the par 5, Mark Brooks.
Just a little sandwich play, Jim, from 82 yards.
And what sandwich play? Mark Brooks at 5 under, trying to get back in it.
Larry Nelson's dropped a couple of strokes.
Jack Nicklaus on the 10th. 4th shot on the par 5. He'll need that for a par. Dale Irwin has picked up a birdie to go 6 under. 3 birdies in a row for him. Okay. Here he is, Irwin, twice a winner of this. A special invitee this year. Did not otherwise qualify, but he's here and could win it. There's Nicklaus and Ian Woosnam still fighting it out. Scott Simpson, a birdie, the 2nd hole, led this championship until late yesterday. The now dreaded 17th hole caught up with him. If you weren't with us yesterday, he had a triple bogey on that par 3, of which you will see a lot today. It could be decided right there on par 3, 17th. Simpson 2 over on today's round. It's trickling away. We'll first look at Jose Maria Olazabal of Spain, 24 years old. Player of the future in Europe, perhaps in the world, some think.
Yeah, well, he's playing with Larry Mize. Both of them are 5 under par. Level par for today.
On the par 3 hole.
You see the wind whipping through the branches of the trees behind them there. So right into the wind. This is a good long iron. Just get it on the, pick the spot in the middle of the green and really drill one in there. He's gone right at it.
Okay, just off the back.
Up against the fringe. How many shots we've seen just finish up against the fringe around the greens, that sort of thick collar just leaves an awkward little shot.
With the wind up just outside the Windy City, Medina is Medina today, and should become more so. Larry Mize got it to 6 under, back to 5 now.
There's still umpteen players in with a shout there,
Oh.
Jim. Quite extraordinary how many are bunched together.
Jeff looks like he's headed for the beach.
The fish and chip shop. Keep off the chips. Well, between them, they got the distance right. One a little too far, one a little too short. Both would be happy to settle for threes and move away.
We'll be seeing a lot of that sort of thing with the wind from here on.
That's why Greg Norman's in such a good position. He's way ahead of them all.
Mark Brooks trying to get to 6 under, which would put him in a tie for 4th with Faldo, Irwin, and Tim Simpson.
Best putt you could have straight up the hill. The wind's a little disconcerting. It's really gusting at the top of the hill here.
Don't want to grip that club too tight, do you, Peter?
No, but it's got to be just firm enough. All those magic putters, all shapes and sizes and colors and materials, and does it work? No.
Not this time.
No.
A little fast, maybe.
Peter, you mentioned that Larry Nelson had lost a couple of shots. He 3-putted from 2 feet at the 4th hole for double bogey, but recouped one of them here.
Oh, well done. So Larry dropped back to 4 under, now is at 5. And that's the par for Mark Brooks. 5 holes to go for Greg Norman. He's on 14. This is a par 5 hole, 545 yards, and it looks like he's going to try to get home in 2. He's waiting.
Well, I think he's got to go for broke now. I mean, if he hit a good drive on the fairway, the worst thing that can happen is he goes in one of the bunkers. But he's got a long iron. Depends where the wind is here. I mean, if the wind's behind, what is this hole? It's
14.
545, 545 yards.
Think he could be going for it with an iron?
Well, he's got a long. There's no point in taking. It looks like a 1 iron. If he's laying up, I would have thought he would have been using about a 5 iron. If the wind's helping him, he'll bust this sky higher. Looks to be a pretty long shafted club. No, I think he just pushed that up the right. I think perhaps he was undecided.
Yeah. Yep.
No, that ended up doing a nothing shot. He might just as well have taken his wood and ripped it.
Well, his charge may be arrested unless he can figure out a shot from there. Faldo on the 9th. The blue marker there is the 200-yard mark.
That's to the center of the green, Jim. The pin's back today, so he has maybe a little over 200 to the hole.
All right, Ed.
Wind is really coming across here hard from his right. But as I mentioned on the last hole, he has hit virtually every shot as solidly as he could do it. I mean, he has really been on the button today.
How hot is it out there, Ed? Is this going to drain these players by 18, or is the wind helping that?
Well, it is warm today. I think just as warm as the other days, but there's quite a breeze today, and much more comfortable, I would say.
Good. Well, he's on. 5th hole now, the leader, Mike Donald, leading by 2.
That's just a little knockdown wedge from 101 yards playing into a stiff breeze. That ball should spin back.
Third shot. No, it didn't. Third shot on the par 5 then.
Here's the 5th. Nice par 5 again. You see the feature of the trees and that little kink there in the fairways where the rough and the trees just come in underneath us now. Bunker on the right, another bunker up the fairway that catches most of the poor old members. And up to the green, slightly raised, bunkers facing you left and right. The greens are, on the whole, are sort of medium to large size. There's a fairly good variation of size of greens. 3 eagles, that's all that's been that's all we've managed to do on this hole. during the week so far. 4 double bogeys.
Billy Ray Brown.
From 50 yards, little flip sand wedge. Looks great.
Oh, yes. Oh, so he could pick up one here to move within a shot of Donald. Unless Donald's going to hole a very long one.
I think he's starting to relax now. He told me he felt like throwing up when he was on the putting green earlier today, but he's finally starting to laugh and relax a little bit.
Very pleasant guy, Billy Ray Brown. Now, Norman here.
Well, the good thing from Greg's point of view is this is a par 5. Is he hit his drive on the fairway and then just played a poor second, perhaps undecided as to what to do, tried to be betwixt and between. I think Greg's at his best when he's firing on all cylinders. And there he just poked it up. It looked as if looks like he might be hitting
just have a line at that flag.
Yeah, I think he might get it on the green. I mean, the great thing here is he mustn't take 6. He's 7 under, tied for second, 2 behind Mike Donald at the moment. If he can just bump this out and get it on the green, so get away with no worse than a 5.
Found the bunker.
Yeah, just pitched it.
But the way these fellows play the bunkers, as we've said, he might well get up and down for a 5.
Yeah, and that's the part of his game that he's improved dramatically. 14th, is he over that water? Jim, it's a formidable carry, isn't it, for the old club player?
Yes, indeed.
No bunkers on the right. But again, the trees bordering the edge of the fairway, and you can see how it sort of wriggles snake-like down between the trees. That bunker front right there, some 50 or 60 yards short of the green when the wind's against, could perhaps come into play if the wind was hard against. And you see no way of running the ball onto the green here with all those bunkers in front of the green. Got to carry it on.
Donald with this long putt on the 5th.
Very difficult downhill putt. Going to be fast. Wind's right behind him. Should help the ball to the hole from there. Well, he just misread it, but he had the right speed.
He's himself a bit of a one for a par. Par 5, 7th hole. This is the 3rd shot of Curtis Strange, the 7th, 581 yards long.
He laid up on the left-hand side of the fairway, which is perfect. The pin is back right today.
Where's the wind out there on this hole?
It's coming right downwind.
Oh, yeah.
Just a wedge.
Strange still 4 shots out. Now, Greg Norman, 4th shot on the par 5.
That sand appeared to be quite wet. Well, obviously it rained a lot last night. I was saying the other day that these bunkers aren't my particular favourites, but that looked very wet and not an awful lot of depth to the sand. There may be a lot of sand there, but it's compacted. And, well, you saw exactly what happened. They just went in a bit steep.
My tutor, Dave Marr, tells me that in wet sand, you really don't know what's going to happen.
Well, he's a wise old coot, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Birdie for Billy Ray Brown. Will it be? Yes.
Yeah, he looks very cool and
Billy
calm.
Ray Brown goes to 8 under, 1 shot behind his fellow competitor of the day, Mike Donald. He edges a stroke ahead of Greg Norman, but Norman needs that putt from off the edge for a par. Now this Mike Donald for the par just before Billy Ray Brown. Okay, he has not shaken so far.
He hasn't.
Remains 9 under, 2 under for the day. Now Norman to chip. Oh, now another.
They may all go right here on a hole with his power, par 5. He's got his tee shot on the fairway, and just one errant shot. He's got to hold this now to stop total disaster creeping in on him.
Did you think he might have used a putter there from just off the edge?
When you can't see the line, and also you don't know what's going through the player's mind, how he sees it.
Right in the same spot again.
Ball's drifting a little bit right. Needs to get back to the left and caught the rough.
You heard Billy Ray say right in the same spot again.
He's just holding on to it just a little bit. Needs to stand up there and release the club. A little bit tight.
Here's our leader. You know, when people say the unknowns or the relatively unknowns can't keep going, I'm reminded of the time at the White City Stadium in London when a Russian athlete called Vladimir Kutz came over. It was the days of Chris Brasher and Chris Chataway, who were our middle distance champions. And this Russian fella set off, and he was miles ahead, you know, and the commentators still kept saying, well, the real race is going on, but he can't keep going. And he did. And will this man be? Will he do a Kutz on us? Will he keep going?
That one's down the left side. Oh, just caught the shortcut rough, but won't be too much problem from there.
Chris Brasher, later a BBC commentator. Is he still doing that?
Yes,
he used to do mountain climbs.
Yeah, all that stuff. But the point is that, you know, people sort of said, well, you never know what's going to happen. Everyone has to start somewhere, and this could be the day for them.
Curtis Strange. Good enough.
Well, he'll be a little disenchanted with that one.
Hale Irwin for a birdie at the 14th hole. As we time for third. And so he does. Hale Irwin getting it to 7 under, 2 shots out of the lead. He is 4 under for the day after earlier rounds of 69, 70, and 74. The must putt for Greg Norman.
For a 6, though.
Yeah, I know. She said a 7 would about do it.
He's got it.
He got it. So he just loses 1 stroke to par, drops back to 6 under. It's not over. He has 4 holes.
No, but that hurt.
Par putt for Strange. And now he'll go to 4 under, 5 shots out of the lead. It's hard out there. Second shot, Mike Donald on the 6th, par 4, 445.
From 182 out of the rough with a 6-iron.
And he's safely on. Okay, let's move over now to Roger Twibell and Dave Marr.
Thank you very much, Jim, and hi, everybody. And David, the wind has finally kicked up here outside of Chicago, and the players are starting to show some signs of maybe not so much physical fatigue, but a little mental fatigue.
Well, that's what it does to you. The U.S. Open will wear you out eventually. It's 4 days of intense pressure, but the wind may have come up too late. With the rain last night, it's still playing a lot softer than Medina deserves to be played. But I think that surprises maybe Mike Donald and Billy Ray Brown and Mark Brooks. I think they surprised the people. It's how well they're holding up. I'm not surprised. All 3 of those young men are very fine players, and there is, as you see the flags blowing here for the first time this week, you can read them. They're blowing straight out. But that's going to present a problem coming down the stretch, Roger. We'll get to that in a minute.
And this is Curtis Strange on the 8th hole. .190-yard par 3, and in the middle of the green. And Bob Rosberg been following Curtis Strange, and obviously you can tell, David, his demeanor has changed considerably the last couple of holes.
But that was an indifferent third shot he hit with the wedge there at 7. That's a hole where he's so good with the short, with every club actually, but you would think he'd have a makeable putt for birdie, and he walks off the green with a 6. That's throwing away a shot to the field. And of course, Curtis, being the kind of grinder that he is, I mean, that face right now looks like Mount Rushmore.
Same red shirt that he wore on the final day last year. Fuzzy Zeller noted that. He said, oh, Curtis has got his red shirt on again today.
May not be the same one, but it's the same color.
Now, at the 6th hole, 445-yard par 4, Billy Ray Brown.
We didn't get a chance to see his second shot, probably one of the finest shots he's played all week, out from under a tree to this position. Took a little 4-iron, knocked it down from about 185, and he's looking at this putt for a birdie. Very fast putt. It's going to be downhill. The wind's behind him, and the pin is set on a slope, so he doesn't want to hit it too firm and let it get away from him.
And Jerry, you say it's downwind, and it is, you feel, affecting the ball even though it's on the green.
No question, David. The wind is a big factor today. When you get greens this fast, the wind is definitely going to affect the speed of a putt, whether it's into the wind or downwind.
Now, Tom Seekman at the 10th hole, 577-yard par 5. You notice the tape on his right wrist. Tom told me this morning he's been battling tendonitis for the past 2 months. He says it's been a little bit better this week. And one of the big hitters out here on tour, but he said you really haven't had much of an opportunity to go for the par 5s and 2, as he throws a lovely shot in there at 10.
He's been kind of a streaky player in his career, good-looking player, but has it been his wrist that's bothered him, or
it's just
health
been
problems?
No, just been recently. One of his problems has been he told me last year he basically has been hitting the ball too far. He feels that sometimes with his short irons and he doesn't have control of them, gets them too high. As we move back now to Mike Donald for birdie at the 6th hole, and this would move him 2 shots in front of Billy Ray Brown.
Plus, it would be the first time in the history of the United States Open that someone got to 10 under par.
As best those USGA historians can tell. Oh, man. Now he'll tap that in for his par. I'll tell you, Mike was determined after that opening round not to let happen to him what happened at Augusta in the 2nd round. And he's one of the all-time grinders out there on the PGA Tour, but the talent is starting to come through too. As we go down to Seve Ballesteros at the par 5 14th, his 3rd shot, and of course Seve ran into some trouble early with the double bogey at the 2nd hole and immediately lost 3 shots, was 3 under when the day began.
That shows you just can't tell, Roger. I talked to him on the putting green. He was in an excellent mood. He couldn't wait to get out there, and talking about the wind blowing and how he thought that was an advantage for him and the better players. And this crazy game that you get into right away, you hit the wall at the 2nd hole for a double bogey.
Now Nick Faldo at the 10th hole, his 3rd shot. Goodness, that nearly jumped in the hole, but that is on a very precarious spot right there. Both those balls roll back, and both players with birdie chances. We'll return with more golf action from the 1990 U.S. Open Golf Championship after this message and a word from our ABC stations. And we welcome you back to Medina. The final round of this 90th Open Championship. Nick Faldo for birdie at 10.
Looked like it hopped when he hit it. Usually that means you don't hit it as solid as you would like.
Faldo will remain at 6 under as we go to 15 now. 384-yard par 4, Greg Norman. He has a birdie putt here, coming off the bogey at 14. Yesterday he bogeyed this hole. You remember, David, he was in some real trouble to the left.
He had a bad drive there.
Made a great par here the day before, after being in the trees to the right.
You don't know, obviously, what the winning score may be, but it would certainly be something if Greg Norman were to get a birdie between here and the clubhouse and get 281 on the board.
Well, you see what his Sunday scoring ranking is. You know, there was a horse called Sunday Silence. If he ever gets into that business, they'd get one called Sunday Noise, because that's when he makes it. And before he putted, this was Hale Irwin's attempt for yet another birdie, which would have been 5 in a row. This at 15.
Go. Go. Get up. Go in.
And he's got a putt of some considerable distance left for his par there.
Very slow going up that hill there. Talked to Hale this morning. He said if he'd have putted well, this would be no tournament here. He's putting well today.
Yes, it is. That 15th hole is going to be playing into the wind today, so it's going to be a little bit longer than its 384 yards. And Hale Irwin remains 2 shots back of Mike Donald at 7 under par. Hale played in the Open here in 1975 as we move to the tee at 8 and Tim Simpson. Simpson at 5 under par. He made a bogey at 6. And oh, what a tee shot there.
Great shot on that hole. Where that pin is, that green slopes quite a bit from left to right.
Now we go to Mark Brooks at 7 for birdie.
It's been a while since he's rolled one in, Roger. He bogeyed the 6th hole. He needs this badly.
Yeah, Judy, he felt so good about his putting. I was talking to him on the putting tee before the round today, and he said, here, take this putter. He says it's good. All the balls go in when you hit it. So anyhow, Mark Brooks with a bit of a problem. He's made a couple of bogeys, and this is the 90th United States Open Championship. We're at Medina Country Club, the number 3 course here. The 3rd time an Open has been held, and Mike Donald with a 1-shot lead. Some great names and so many possibilities on this Sunday afternoon in Chicago. The wind has finally started to blow. And will that 17th hole be the big factor coming in? We saw it jump up and grab Scott Simpson and Jeff Sluman yesterday. And we'll move to the tee at 11 and Nick Faldo.
The wind helping the player here, Roger. Downwind blowing to the player's left. Makes it an easy tee shot and a good birdie opportunity today.
Now on the tee at 16, 436-yard par for Hale Irwin.
This is driving in the same direction that the 11th hole is, so the player should make this tee shot a little easier today, helping him right to left.
And that'll be down in a flat area right there, David.
That'll be downwind, but that doesn't necessarily make this hole any easier as we look at the 16th hole, one of the stronger par 4s here at Medina. Dogleg to the left. Players will be driving out there with a 3-wood. Some of the longer players maybe in a 1-iron, shorter players maybe a driver, but you get to the corner and then your problems start. You're shooting a shot that's anywhere from, we saw guys 225 to 170 yesterday to a green that's up above you. And that's why I say with the wind, that doesn't help you so much because that green will dry out a lot faster than one that's down in the valley.
Second most difficult hole so far in this Open Championship. Matter of fact, the last 3 holes, the 2nd, 7th, and 3rd most difficult is Greg Norman now on the tee. Great birdie this hole yesterday.
He may have taken it over the trees there because it's down. First of all, to win the tournament, he's got to beat Hale Irwin, the man he's playing with. Don't know where that finished.
And we'll move to the 8th hole, the par 3. Tim Simpson with the beautiful tee shot. This for birdie to get back to 6 under. Tim told me this morning that he just couldn't get the feel for the greens yesterday. He was very concerned. He said, I had no idea about the speed. He says my pacing was off, and obviously having some more trouble with it today. This is a really golden opportunity. By the way, Greg Norman's tee shot back there at 16, perfectly placed in the middle of the fairway.
Well, you hate to waste a shot that, like Tim just played into that hole. A very, very hard par 3. Knock it almost stiff, and then walk out of there with 3 is can really get you going the wrong way.
Mike Donald, 1 shot ahead of Billy Ray Brown. They're our final group of the day. Curtis Strange. What are his chances to make it 3 in a row now, as he is 5 shots back?
Well, if he looks back at it, where it stopped him was the 7th hole when he made that bogey.
And there's Mike Donald.
Mike with 107 to the flag, playing his 3rd shot here on the 7th hole. He has a sand wedge out. The pin is all the way in the back right portion of the green. Pretty easy shot for Mike, although it's playing downwind. Slightly downhill lie. Well, he kind of pulled it on that downhill lie, but it should be about the right distance.
Oh, he got some good action on it, Jerry. He's above the hole. He'll have a left to right breaking putt. This was a good pairing for these 2 players today, Mike Donald and Billy Ray Brown, as we go to 10 and Larry Mize, his 3rd shot. Mize 1 over on his round today. This is a 577-yard par 5 to the bunker to the right of the green.
Say if that's his 3rd shot, he hit 2 big shots there, Roger. I hope it's only his 3rd shot.
And let's go back to 7 now. Jerry?
Billy Ray Brown playing his 4th shot here on number 7 after driving the ball in the rough, and when he tried to pitch out, he caught the heavy rough, did not get back to the fairway, so he is now playing his 4th shot. Little sand wind shot from about 80 yards. It just grabbed on it.
Didn't release for him. I was mentioning a good pairing, David, because these 2 guys, one has never won, the other just won victory. So the same sort of situation for those 2 players, rather than being paired with a big name, as we see Nick Faldo. And keeps it below the hole there at 11, but it spins back. Now up ahead, the 16th hole, 2nd shot for Hale Irwin.
All right, you see the blue mark there in the fairway. That's 200 yards. So Hale's approximately 200 yards there, uphill. Good news is a little helping wind.
Good long iron player there, wasn't he, David?
Wonderful.
I would say so. And Hale Irwin with yet another birdie chance.
That justifies the United States Golf Association's invitation to Hale Irwin to
absolutely
come play a little golf this year.
You know, he's been very competitive this year. He's had some good tournaments.
Well, in 1975, he was 1 stroke out of the playoff, made a 12-footer at the last hole for a par when he was defending champion.
Now, Greg Norman.
That should have helped Greg a little bit judge just what the wind is doing there, being in the trees and sort of the downhill side there. And you can see what a big drive he hit. That white marker is 150 to the center of the green.
So he's above the hole and will have a very slick putt coming back down. And
can't be happy with that. That's a little bit of an uphill line. Generally, when a good player misses that kind of shot, it is a pull.
Now, Billy Ray Brown, and this will be for par at the 7th hole. This is for par now.
Slow down, Billy Ray.
Oh, goodness. He's He's got some trouble now, doesn't he, Jerry?
Well, that was very fast when it went over the hill, and I think he needs to just get a little composure at this time. Just go ahead and try to make bogey and go on to the next hole, but that was a little too aggressive.
As I've said before, what you don't want to make in this event is a double bogey. It's just too hard to make 2 more birdies to get back to par.
Mike Donald taking a look at his putt for birdie. Curtis Strange is 5 back. Olazabal also 5. Steve Jones with a good round today, 5 under 67, bogeying 18. Sluman continues to have a struggle, as does Mark Brooks today.
Todd Woosner may make a little run at it today. Good round today by Steve Elkington.
This putt from about 15 feet, Rogers actually breaks right to left. The pin is so far in the back right corner that the slope is going to take this ball from right to left. It's going to be extremely fast. Really picking up in speed now, these greens. The wind is starting to dry them out. Who just turned off on the bottom side, but that was a super stroke.
So Mike Donald, after making birdies on the first 2 holes, now with 5 consecutive pars, as Nick Faldo has this for birdie at 11.
Looking good.
Nick Faldo. And a few moments ago, at 16, Greg Norman for birdie. Well, you had to be careful, David, with that putt.
Yeah, you couldn't get too frisky. It's downhill, and he's got to look back, though, at the bogey that he just made there at 14.
Now, this was Curtis a few moments ago for par at the 9th hole. And so Curtis will drop yet another shot after bogeys at 7 and 9. He is 3 under for the championship, 2 over on his round this Sunday in Chicago.
And what he has to do now going to the 10th tee is say, okay, it's still not over. Unless this man makes this one, then it may be over.
Hale Irwin for birdie at 16. Just to get him 1 shot back of Mike Donald. And now at the 8th tee, told Billy Ray Brown made double bogey back there at 7, and this is Mike Donald's tee shot.
This par 3 playing 199 today into a very stiff breeze is picking up. Mike with a 3-iron. Pin cut left. That ball is straight right, going to be short. Well, actually, it's going to be on the right over the hump there. It's going to be on the green, but not a good swing. The wind is really gusting.
Long way from the pin.
Finish my story on Curtis there. He's got to think, I've got to try to shoot 32 on the back 9. And this 8th hole is the only par 3 here without water, but it's a very fine par 3 on its own. Shooting a little downhill there. Big slope on this green from left to right, and the pin today just in the shadow that you see there, left side of the green. Very dangerous pin position. You cannot miss it to the left. Mike Donald put it in the right place if you're going to miss.
Billy Ray Brown.
Keep going. Hunt, doggy.
Also with a
Hunt,
3-iron.
doggy. He's the club.
That's got to be a Texan. He said, hunt, doggy.
Beautiful shot there, David.
That doggy did hunt.
This is the last group.
The way that tee sets you up there, David, it almost sets you up to hit it to the right.
Everything on that hole makes you want to hit to the right. And that's why that particular pin position is very difficult to get into.
Mike Donald's the only guy from the last 6 groups to be under par today. So if there was any thought about nerves and whether this man who's been out there for some 11 years with just 1 victory wanted it today, he's been very steady so far and got himself off to a good start, which has been the key to his round with birdies at the first 2 holes.
Reggie Zeller having a good tournament. I thought Larry Nelson might play a little better today, and Scott Simpson. Jim Benepe finishes with a good round.
Now Tim Simpson with a birdie putt at 9. Remember, he hit it so close at 8 and missed it. He used it. He got it. That's what you use the edge of the cup for, David. Just to let it,
certain size.
just to let it fall in. So Tim Simpson now gets to 6 under even on his round today. And on the tee at 17, Hale Irwin.
Maybe the hardest shot of the day for Hale.
He birdied this hole the first 2 days and made par there yesterday.
He's played it better than anyone else. Now watch what this ball does. That slope is so severe there.
Tim Morgan, the USGA Championship agronomist, told me this morning they mowed that green 3 times this morning. And when the young man finished mowing it for the 3rd time, the crowd that had gathered there gave him a standing ovation, and he was signing autographs when he left.
Some of the players might like to find him too.
Now at 12, Nick Faldo, his second shot.
He's between 205 and 210 yards, Roger. Right in the center of the fairway. Again, playing a 1-iron off the tee. Nick has only used his driver twice today. He's playing a 4-iron. This is straight downwind. Maybe the wind moving slightly to his right, but it's definitely helping him.
It's a little gusty. I mean, or you just don't think he's made his mind up what he's trying to do.
Well, it did gust there. I think this is a very, very tough shot. He does not want to pull this ball to the left. I mean, we've talked about that. It's difficult to make 4 from the left side. But I think he'll hit a good shot.
Oh, get out there. See that.
Marvelous shot.
David, you can't play it any better than that. He has left himself an uphill putt on the toughest hole on the golf course.
With this long putt for birdie at the 8th hole. Just to get it down in 2 is what he's thinking about. Pretty healthy run at it right there.
Not bad though, that's slow going up that hill, and I like the speed that he's had on all of his putting today.
Donald's putt a moment ago, and live Billy Ray Brown after the double bogey gets one back with the birdie at 8, and he's now 7 under and 2 back of Mike Donald. Hale Irwin at 7 under par. Nick Faldo also at 7. Faldo with a real good birdie putt at the difficult 12th hole. That could get him to 8. Hale Irwin, of course, also with a birdie putt at 17, that treacherous par 3. And now, this is Nick Faldo at 12.
Roger, I described that putt as an uphill putt. It's not really uphill, but it's fairly level. He is definitely, obviously, not coming down from the left side of that green.
Level putts look uphill here, don't they, Ed?
David, this is a very makeable putt. You're right, on this hole especially. I've seen so many guys bail out left here and catch these trees, and the only guys I've seen recover for par have missed the green to the right. He's got a great putt. It should break to his right a little bit.
Well, it's been a typical sort of Nick Faldo round. He's made no bogeys. He's got 3 birdies, the rest pars.
He came out with a strategy that was definitely one of patience and just a strategy just to put the ball in the fairway here. He has not been aggressive, but he has not made any mistakes.
Pulled it.
Hale Irwin for birdie at 17. Breaks right to left.
Very disappointed that ball didn't move more to the left than that.
So Irwin will tap that in, and with everything that's happening, so many subplots in this final round of the 90th Open Championship, let's get a word from Jack Whitaker.
Well, thank you, Roger, and this is turning out to be every bit as dramatic and exciting as we thought. You know, Medina is nothing if not filled with history, as any golf club built in Chicago during Prohibition would be. They've had some marvelous members here. One of them, Anton Cermak, was elected mayor of Chicago in 1931. And in February of 1933 in Miami was standing on the running board of a car which had President-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt in it, when an assassin going for the president-elect struck Cermak and killed him. Without Anton Cermak, this member of Medina, the history of the world and the United States certainly would have been a lot different. And they're adding to that history today with their third United States Open, one of the most competitive we've ever seen. 3 of the usual suspects against 2 of the youngsters, so-called. The usual suspects, of course, Greg Norman, Nick Faldo, and Hale Irwin, going against Mike Donald and Billy Ray Brown. Ahead of the youngsters, 9 of the most important holes they'll ever play in their career to this point. Is it going to be a gay boulevard for them or a nightmare on Elm Street? Let's find out. Roger?
Thank you very much, Jack. And Greg Norman has this most essential putt for par to keep any chance alive for his championship. Well, he made his Sunday run early.
Well, I talked to him this morning, Roger, and I said, I just want to tell you the putt you made on 18 on Friday was one of the most important putts of your life. And he said, Dave, I was more nervous over that putt just to make the cut than I have been over a lot of putts to win tournaments.
Now this is for bogey, which will drop him to 5 under. So he'll look back at that 14th hole where he decided to lay up rather than go for it. Rather un-Norman-like, who is known for going for the pins at all times. And we'll move to 9. Mike Donald getting a little exercise in as he is going to just double check the yardage. It's always interesting, Dave. You know, the caddies go out, they check the yardage. I'm sure the player in his practice round, and now they're doing a little triple check on it.
I got so many numbers there, and it's a time really that you better, Mike Donald better be precise in what he does and know just how far it is.
Well, I tell you what, he has a very curious type of lie. The ball is almost up against this short cut, and really it's going to give him a little bit of a line to shoot towards the flagstick. He has 202 yards downwind. The wind is really swirling, and I think when you play a golf course that's so heavily treed as this one, it's more difficult playing in this much wind. He has a 3-iron. Ball's hanging a little right, needs to get up just a bit. Oh, and just did.
He's gotten a couple of very good bounces so far today, Jerry, and this thing is going to roll up left, and he has got himself about 20 feet for birdie.
Just over the trees.
When you win tournaments, good things, you got to take the good breaks and take advantage of them, because you're going to get some bad ones, and I'm sure over the first he's had a little banana.
Got that banana peel out of the way.
Big drive for Hale Irwin here.
At 18.
Dave Morrow managed to join him here. This is a good drive down the left center.
It is. Judy's got about 175 left. Hale's played well this year. He had a 5th place finish at the Players Championship, 3rd at Kemper. He's won himself about $200,000.
And only played in 10 events. He's spending a lot more of his time in golf course architecture now, and has done some fine courses.
And his kid's finishing up high school. He wanted to spend some time at home and enjoy that. See the trees rustling above as Greg Norman readies for his tee shot at 18.
First thing he has to do is to catch Hale. Somehow or another, a 2 here. Maybe it's his turn to hole one from a fairway.
There you go.
Great drive, Greg. Great drive, Greg. That's good.
Oh, that's slightly large.
That's an extra large there. All carrying to the 150 mark.
Might even be that double XL shirt. A few moments ago at 9, Billy Ray Brown, his 2nd shot. .429-yard par 4, dogleg left.
Can't like that too much in the middle of the fairway. know whether he made a bad swing or just misjudged the shot so much.
Now on the tee at 13, Nick Faldo.
That's a 6-iron, Roger.
Some kind of 6-iron too.
He has become a wonderful player. Absolutely wonderful. I feel like that Faldo, go back to Curtis Strange here at the 10th hole for birdie. Now he's got to think, got to make this one in 3 more to have any kind of chance. Well, I mean, you could birdie all 9 of them, obviously, but I mean, you got to put a realistic score that you can shoot.
Well, he had a terrific back 9 yesterday to get himself in contention for this championship, as we'll take a look down the leaderboard with Mike Donald at 9 under par. And looking at a birdie putt, as is Nick Faldo at 13. Hale Irwin coming up the 18th fairway. Mark Brooks at 5 under. Scott Hoke at 4, along with Jeff Sluman. Former Open champ Fuzzy Zeller and Scott Simpson both at 3 under. Benepe and Gallagher, Siegman, Stadler at 3 under par. Then Woosnam finished along with Steve Elkington at 2 under for this championship. Larry Nelson has dropped back to 2 under, started the day at 6 under par. Jack Nicklaus now has fallen back. He is 1 under after 14 holes. That's where Ozaki and Corey Pavin finished up. Brian Clark still out in the golf course, and Seve Ballesteros. And what a great tournament by Arizona State's Phil Mickelson, 2-time NCAA champion. Tom Byram and Bob Lohr, Kirk Triplett, Billy Tootin all at 1 over. Lenny Watkins kind of staggered home. He had it going there for a while today and had a tough finish. The other amateur, David Duval, at 5 over. Youngest player in this championship from Georgia Tech University, and then Robert Gomez. "68 players made the cut." As we take a look now at Hale Irwin at 18.
Right near the 175-yard mark to the hole. 165 or a yard or 2 less to carry the bunker in front of the hole. It's downwind, but not as downwind as it was off the tee, coming from his left also.
Makes this shot a little harder with the pin on the left side there.
I think the way the wind's blowing, Hale can take 7-iron to carry the bunker.
Hale birdied this hole on Thursday, made pars the last 2 days.
Well, it's to the right side.
And it doesn't get over that hump in the middle of the green, so he's going to have a difficult putt. He'll take a 2-putt from where he's at. We'll go from 18 to 9, and Mike Donald for birdie.
This putt with big break right to left, very fast downhill.
Again, perfect speed.
Great attempt, David.
Yes.
And Donald will remain at 9. Now Greg Norman at 18.
About 155.
Terrific shot in there for Greg. A birdie would get him to 6 under, and then he just have to hope that the wheels would start coming off elsewhere. But as you said, David, Hale Irwin is the man.
First of all, he's got to beat Hale, so he's got to have a little help from Hale there. 18th hole here is one of the brand new holes at Medina. 440 yards, as you saw, in the bunker in the left rough. You see they're definitely in play at the dog leg. White mark you see in the middle of the fairway there, that's the 150 to the center of the green. 2 bunkers on the left side guarding the green there. Sort of a nice hump in the middle of this rather long green, not too wide, kind of reminiscent of a wing foot green.
And as we move out to 13 and Nick Faldo, this man, winner of the Masters, 2 shots back of Mike Donald, this for birdie.
Roger, he has not put himself in position today where he had to be very, very defensive. He has not been especially aggressive with these putts, but most of the time he has been below the hole and has not even been anywhere near trouble.
Well, that was an aggressive stroke right there, Ed.
Maybe a little quicker than he wanted there. He's not happy with that. You don't want to keep leaving yourself these little knee knockers here.
He has not faced too many of these today.
And a few moments ago, the arrival of Hale Irwin and Greg Norman at 18. Applause to the tee at 10. Mike Donald. Jerry, what's the wind doing there at 10?
Roger, we're on the far south of the golf course here, and to the south of the 10th fairway there is not to speak of a lot of trees, and the wind is really whipping from the road left to right. Really going to move the ball from left to right. Mike started it down the middle of the fairway, and the wind's starting to move it towards the right side of the fairway, and of course, you can see there nice soft fairways. The ball stayed in the short grass. That's the advantage of all this rain.
And Jerry, he took 2 clubs back there, and he had one in his hand. Then he changed his mind, so he must have taken his short driver there to stay out of the rough and then cross that fairway bunker down there.
Exactly right, David. He did use a short driver. He has a normal wooden-headed driver. He does not use much. Has not used it yet today. He hit his tour spoon.
Now Billy Ray Brown, who bogeyed 9, dropped back to 6 under with his tee shot.
All right, the same thing for Billy Ray. Now he's got to pull himself together. He's had a couple of shaky holes there with a birdie in the middle of them, but he's got to think now. Here's what's happening. I've got to shoot right about 280, 281. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just what you can realistically do.
Jose Maria on the tee at 17. He's 5 under par for the tournament, even on his round today. And Olazabal. No, it didn't find the water. Matter of fact, it's short of the bunker at 13. Well, that's going to be an interesting shot as you take a look back across Lake Cadija. Larry Mize will be next to play. Mize at 4 under par, 1 over on his round today. And as he saw his playing partner come up short, he made certain that he wasn't. But it's surprising, David, that ball didn't come back.
It is, and he's disappointed too, because he knows what he's got left there straight downhill.
Now, just a moment ago at 18, this was Hale Irwin. This very long putt for birdie over the hump in front of him.
10 putts about 60 feet.
Hale Irwin goes to 8 under par.
That's the fastest he's moved since he played football in Colorado.
Excited as Hale Irwin has ever been on a golf course. There's the number. It's now been posted. 8 under par. Hale Irwin with a round of 5 under 67, and he'll be able to sit back and watch and see if there's a third Open Championship in store for him as we go to Mike Donald at 10, his second shot.
Mike taking a middle to a long iron to lay up on number 10 for his second shot. Players do not go for this green in 2 very often. The hole is just too long, 579 yards long.
Kind of into the wind too on that second shot, isn't it, Jerry?
It's left to right and hurting, Roger. I think there's a big weakness on this golf course actually in the par 5s. The par 5s are extremely long, but they're not that difficult because it forces the players to lay up and not take a gamble.
Now Greg Norman for birdie. It's just a moment ago too at 18. And Norman would make his par there to finish at 5 under, a round of 3 under 69. And one more time, a look at Hale Irwin at 18 for birdie. Taking a look at 18 and Hale's wife and his daughter, and what an exciting moment for them as they just saw Dad on Father's Day make that big birdie at 18. In the spring of 1914, the 21-year-old Rochester pro Walter Hagen went to spring training with the Philadelphia Phillies as a pitcher and thought seriously of giving up golf. But when a club member put up expense money, Hagen took the train out to Chicago for the 1914 Open. He won it at the Midlothian Club. Always the picture of sartorial splendor, he wore white flannel pants with cuffs and a striped silk shirt garnished with a red bandana. 34-year-old Mike Donald with a one-shot lead right now over 45-year-old Hale Irwin as Donald gets ready for his third shot at the par 5 10.
That's a little knockdown 7-iron from 152, just left of the flag. Wind needs to move it to the right a little bit.
And just off the green, but will be able to putt it. And in case you missed it, just a few moments ago, this was Hale Irwin at 18 for birdie. And he's thinking David two-putt here.
You know that, but just in case.
Olazabal for par now at 13. Remember, his tee shot landed between the water and the bunker on a thin patch of grass. And the wind bothered him, having to step back. breaking as much there, David, as I think a couple of the players we've seen come through.
They know how steep that slope is there, Roger, and it just is down in the flat part. They're just over-reading that.
Now a 10, Billy Ray Brown for birdie.
Little 7-iron, very makeable chip from there uphill. Well played.
By the way, Fuzzy Zeller has just birdied 11 and 12 to get to 5 under par. Could Hale Irwin at age 45 become the oldest man to win a United States Open championship? Remember, Raymond Floyd at Shinnecock was 43.
What Hale has done, as you see him there, he's put everybody, they now know that that's the score.
Wife Sally, daughter Becky, standing by. Not too far from their home in St. Louis. And what a Father's Day it would be for this two-time Open champion. But the leader right now is Mike Donald, who's looking at a birdie putt at 10.
Just about 15 feet uphill. Going to break left to right. This is a very, very makeable putt. He can give it a nice aggressive roll.
By the way, Olazabal made bogey at 13. Settle. So Mike Donald will have that for his par. And at 14 now, Nick Faldo's third shot.
He has played the ball, Roger, in as good a position as he could play against this wind. He had a good drive against the wind and laid the ball up on the right side of the fairway. He's about 85 yards from the hole with a sand wedge. The wind should help him spin this ball and keep it by the hole.
Spin, and it hit a lead, which stopped it, or it might have come back even closer to the pin. And we're back at Medina, final round of this 90th United States Open Championship. Mike Donald at 9 under through 10, but at 8 under and finished. Former two-time Open champion Hale Irwin, who's with Jack Whitaker right now.
All right, Roger. Hey, is your heart still racing?
Well, it was a pretty exciting moment, Jack. When I went to sign my scorecard, all I had to do was put the lead to the paper, and it wiggled a name out there. So, yeah, it was very exciting.
I've never seen you so excited on a golf course in my life. You must have did 15 high fives, and you ran 100. David said you haven't run that far since you were playing football.
Well, he's right. I was exhausted after all that. You always dream of coming in and having a chance to win any tournament, but when you've got any chance at the last hole, and particularly one like this, it was... I don't know how long it was. It just seemed like the ball took forever to get to the hole, and it was easily the longest putt I made all week. Oh, how sweet it is. Where's he going?
Like those moves?
Hey, you know, I've been watching these guys on TV. They do that, you know, the football and the basketball and all that. I'm just trying to get in the act. Oh, it was fun. You know, that back nine was just about as exciting, I think, as I've ever had any 9 holes in golf, maybe even 18. I hit the ball, actually, all week I hit the ball extremely well, and I mentioned to your colleague Dave Marr that if I'd been putting well for the week, it would have been maybe not even a close contest, but I suppose that anybody can say that. But honestly, the longest putt I made until that last hole was about 12 feet. I just kept hitting the ball so close, and my caddy and I were talking coming up the fairway, said, you know, we're due for a long putt. You know, you just got to make a long putt somewhere, and here we go.
There's a guy to tie you now.
Well, he's been there before. Nick Faldo was a great player, and you know, I'm in, but so's he now. So we'll see. It could be exciting coming back.
You've got 2 hours now waiting and a little nail biting.
I don't mind. I'm in, and Mike Donald has the lead, and Nick Faldo is now tied for second, and that's the way I'm looking at it. You can do what you can do, and I did my bit. I can't do any better.
Well, you've already given us a memorable moment here for this 1990 Open, which has had many moments, and we're glad to see you back in contention. You always win on the tough courses.
Well, I think we saw Medina at its easiest this week. The rains early in the week and then last night certainly softened the golf course for us. The balls that landed in the fairway stayed there. The balls that you could throw right at the hole if you had the courage or maybe the stupidity sometimes to throw it at the hole. And then, of course, we never had the U.S. Open speed of the greens. It was, I think, an easier test than what we might have seen or that we did see in practice rounds.
Well, all right, Hale. Sit and have an enjoyable 2 hours here, and maybe we'll all go at it again Monday.
Well, I hope for the opportunity, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you for a great moment. Roger?
Okay, thank you very much, Jack. Whew. This is turning out to be some kind of Father's Day this Sunday. And Mike Donald, our leader, at 11, 402-yard par 4, his second shot.
Has sort of a tight lie out of the rough here, Raj. He has 133 yards to the hole with a pitching wedge. Big breeze right behind him. Pin right on the front of the green, so he's going to have to really spin this ball to stop it. Well, this guy's playing some golf. He's as cool as I've ever seen him.
So Mike Donald with a birdie putt there. Saw Billy Ray Brown's ball already resting inside of his on the green at 11. Brown is 3 shots back, and right now Mike Donald with a 1-shot lead over Nick Faldo and Hale Irwin as we go to 15. And take a look now at Nick Faldo at the 384-yard par 4. Faldo 4 under on his round today.
This is one of the par 4s, one of the 2 par 4s at Medina, under 400 yards, but it has given the players fits all week. You don't want to go left, the bunker there, and the trees right, heavily treed, as many of the holes are here at Medina, into a green that is has a lot of slope to it. Again, we say that almost every hole here at Medina, but it's really given the players fits for a hole that's so short. See the pin today there in the dead center of the green, 30 feet from the left, 30 feet from the right, 60 feet from the front fringe.
This is a hole that looks rather easy from the tee, but we've seen so many players, David, hit it right and to the left in the trees here.
Well, the Ed's out there with him. What's the wind doing to Nick on this tee, Ed?
David, it's pretty much against him. It's gusting and it's swirling and it's a tough wind to read right now. But it's pretty much just straight against him. David, I'll say one thing. This guy just doesn't seem to wilt. He's not going to make mistakes. He is putting the ball in play every time.
Liken him in a way to the problems when Tom Watson was having his problems getting started early in his career, and he would get in position to win and not win. The press and criticize him. Now he's become a very tough, hard player.
We remember yesterday and the tragedy for Scott Simpson at 17, where he was leading this tournament at one time before bogeying 16 and then hitting a tee shot into the back bunker here to make triple bogey. And today, what a difference 1 day makes.
Well, I told him on the putting green this morning, I said, look, that hole owes you one. Just think of it that way.
Scott Simpson at 2 under as we go to Mike Donald for birdie at 11.
From about 12 feet downhill, breaking 4 to 6 inches from his right to left. Not a putt he can be too aggressive with. He has to just lay it out there.
Go, go, go.
You can see he backed off of that one a little bit. Pretty fast putt.
So Mike Donald taps in for another par. So after birdieing the first 2 holes, nothing but pars since, as we go to Curtis Strange and his tee shot at 13.
That was a 5-iron, 200 yards downwind. See the other ball up there? Mike Reed almost made a hole-in-one here.
And Curtis now rests against the rough, and that'll be a difficult shot. We've seen a lot of creative shots on these par 3s off the rough as Billy Ray Brown has this short putt for birdie at 11. And he is now just 2 shots back at 7 under.
He won't go away, will he?
David, he knows what he needs to do now. He knows what's been posted.
Now, on the tee at 17, Jack Nicklaus. Jack was 3 under par through 11. The bogeys at 12 and 13 and 15 and 16. And the backside has been most difficult for him. As we move out to Nick Faldo at the par 4 15th, his second shot.
Roger, Nick has about 170 yards to the pin. He has to shoot over the corner of those trees. They shouldn't bother him. They're well short of the green, so going against the wind, he should be able to carry it in to the hole and stop it. I don't imagine he's going to try to carry it all the way to the hole. I would think with the pin in the back part of the green, he would try to remain underneath the hole, a little to the right of it. Again, the wind is tough to read. Where I'm standing, it's going around in circles, but it should be against him here.
And it looks like it's maybe moved around more to the north a little bit. At least up here at 18 it has.
Well, it sounded very solid. I don't know if
he lost it to the right, and he's
just long.
Yeah, just long, and not on the putting surface though, just onto the fringe. Nick Faldo, 1 shot back of Mike Donald, along with Hale Irwin, who's finished with a 5 under 67. Everyone who lives in the Chicago area tends to get thin-skinned about its old reputation as the nation's gangster headquarters. They would remind you that Chicago has been a city of intellectual advancement. The first self-sustained nuclear chain reaction was done here by a team of physicists headed by Enrico Fermi. The experiment was done in 1942 in what used to be squash courts beneath the grandstands of the University of Chicago Stagg Field. The University of Chicago currently has 7 Nobel Prize winners on its faculty, including novelist Saul Bellow. And welcome back to our final round coverage of this 1990 United States Open Golf Championship. Mike Donald leads Nick Faldo and Hale Irwin by 1 as we go to the tee at 13.
That's a 6-iron.
Billy Ray Brown's tee shot, nicely on.
Hole playing 200 yards today, downwind, downhill.
Down, Nick Faldo. This is at 16, and this very long putt for birdie. He bogeyed this hole yesterday and has left himself a very tricky putt for his par. As we move back to 13, Mike Donald, who birdied this hole during the first round and has parred the last 2 days.
This is a very important tee shot for Mike with a 5-iron. He's been hitting the ball extremely well today with his irons. Mike, a left to right ball striker. Started that just left of the flag and is cutting in just towards the pin. Beautifully played.
Tremendous shot. Nearly on top of Billy Ray Brown's golf ball. You could put a napkin and cover those two up.
Great shot after that bogey at the 12th hole. I mean, you really had to get a par. I'm sorry, yeah, when he was in trouble there.
Now, a moment ago while that was happening, Nick Faldo for par at 16. To remain 1 shot back.
What fools the players on 16, that green has been redone a little bit, and that slope softened in the middle of it. It's a little slower than the others.
And Faldo tapped in and made bogey, so he drops to 7 under for the championship. Mike Donald, a one-shot lead over Hale Irwin, who shot a 5 under 67. Nick Faldo and Billy Ray Brown at 7 under. And to take you home in this 90th United States Open Championship, let's go over to Jim McKay.
Thank you very much, Roger. There's Nick Faldo. He must now birdie one of the last 2 holes to have a chance at a playoff tomorrow. So there's a story behind every leader. Can Mike Donald, at age 34, after more than a decade on tour and only 1 victory, perhaps grasp the one opportunity of a lifetime? Can Hale Irwin become the oldest man ever to win the U.S. Open? Can Nick Faldo take step 2 on the road to a Grand Slam, the professional Grand Slam that's never been achieved? Seems like a very appropriate time to have a visit with a man who must be reminiscing as he sits watching down in Tennessee, the man who won the championship on this golf course in 1949, Cary Middlecoff. I think his friend Jack Whitaker can have a word with him now.
Hello, Cary, can you hear me?
Jack, I can hear you, and you're beautiful as always, old buddy.
Doc, what do you thinking about down there 41 years ago? Does the course look anything like it did then?
Well, the last 6 or 7 holes, I studied maps this morning. They're a little bit confusing, but I think the great thing about this tournament is, you know, the number of guys that this morning had a chance to win. And it's a tournament for all ages. You know, Hale's 45, and Jack played good as 50, and they got young guys playing. And I think it proves that there's more good players out there now. And I do think the course played a little bit easier than it did, but nevertheless, the cup's only, you know, about that big around. And still makes it hard to score, but I'm most impressed, and I think it's great for golf, Jack, to have these different age guys playing this good, and I think it's just wonderful.
Well, there's a little bit of a parallel here. You had to take care of Clayton Hefner yourself, didn't you, in that final round? And then sit and wait to see what Sam Snead did.
Clayton Hefner and Buck White played with us, and he was leading early in the last round, and I kept thinking Clayton, you know, weighed about 240 pounds. He's going to get so hot he couldn't walk, but it didn't. And he missed about a putt no longer than 8 feet the last hole to tie, and then I think Sam was an hour behind and bogeyed 17. But, you know, it's a good golf course. I'm astounded how low they're shooting. But I say that the fact that Jack Nicklaus, 50, Hale Irwin, 45, and right down the line, that many guys are staying in there, and they have played good. I have watched every day, and I'm just, you know, I'd love to be in an Open if I was young enough, but I'm not sure I'd like to be in one where this many guys are chewing at you, you know. There's no way you can run off and leave everybody, but it's most impressive, and I congratulate Medina and the USGA. The way the tournament's coming out, it's exciting.
Well, we thank you very much, Cary. Always great to talk to you. Thanks for all those thrills you gave us, and we hope to see you soon.
Well, thanks to you, and you lucky devil, you still got a job, and I'm unemployed and all that. But you do a great job, and all of the ABC guys do, and I thank you. I enjoyed being on, and I'm going to watch it. And, you know, George May used to say, if there's a lot of people tied, there wouldn't be a playoff. And if there were separation, there would be. And I think he may be right this time. Looks like somebody's going to win it.
I think so, too. Thanks again, Doc. Great to talk
Jack.
with you. Jim?
Okay, Jack. Thank you, Cary.
Great to see him again.
17th tee. Nick Faldo, now trailing by 2. 1 behind Irwin, who shot 67 today.
The wind coming from the left, Jim.
Okay. Good shot.
Needed to get back down there a little shorter so that putt, the higher you are up on that green, the more it breaks and the faster it gets. His caddy there is Fanny Sunison, a very fine player in her own right.
Yeah, come back. Fanny Sunison, who's been caddying in Europe for some years, used to caddy for Howard Clark and has come over to Nick now. Mike Donald with that birdie attempt on 13. Leading by 1 over Irwin, who sits and watches somewhere. The mark for the other ball between his feet. It got there, but just that inch or inch and a half off from the hole. So the par will keep him at 9 under, and it is still true that in the history of the U.S. Open, as far as anyone can ascertain, never at any moment has anybody been 10 under par for the championship. Now Billy Ray Brown, this also on tape, playing, of course, with Mike Donald.
Just never had the speed there.
Nick Faldo needing a birdie on one of the last 2 holes in order to have any chance for a playoff tomorrow, which would be at 18 holes in the U.S. Open tomorrow. ABC would be here, of course. Yep. Now he'll need birdie on 18 to have any opportunity.
Well, they better clean that one up, too. That's at this point on the 71st hole, Jim, they tend to get a little touchy with the nerves.
Now, this was Billy Ray Brown's tee shot a few moments ago, and it was not a good one.
Well, he's made the same mistake. He's hung it out to the right. He's just not getting through the ball, Jim.
Several times he's done that.
Okay, 14 is one of the new holes at Medina. You took the green of the old 15th, and they went back across the creek there. Maybe that's why Dr. Middlecoff didn't recognize some of this. But they've played the shorter tee this week, so a player can drive up to the top of the hill, and you can at least see the green. Now, it's a hole, though, where many of the players, depending on the conditions, but many of the players this week have laid up there with an iron and then pitch into the green. Very difficult layup there because you cannot see the fairway on your second shot. You can see they're playing up short of the tees there. 2 tees behind where Mike is.
Now Mike Donald's tee shot on tape. So both in the final pairing have found the rough. One on the right, one on the left. Now at the end of the first round, Mike Donald was 4th, Irwin was 8th, and Faldo was 40th. Look at that. Donald 3rd at the end of the second round, Irwin 5th, Faldo 37th. At the end of the third round, Donald in the lead there, Irwin 20th, and Faldo had moved all the way up to 13th. At the moment, 1, 2, 3. Faldo tied with Billy Ray Brown. Now this 14th hole, fortunately for men in the last pairing, is a par 5. Could be forgiving.
Well, if you had to pick one of the last few holes to hit a poor drive on, it would be the 14th. If you had a choice.
Must putt for Faldo. Okay. This has been a hole of disaster for many players, a hole of opportunity for others in this championship. A really pivotal hole so far. It could yet be the one that decides it.
Come on now, get that one back.
Back on Friday, for example, Ian Woosnam of Wales came to this hole right in contention.
This was a 7-iron, and he said he just came over the top of it, and he got to the left side here. Of course, this particular hole, you miss the green, it is difficult just to make a 4. Now, this second shot got under it a little more than he meant to, but he had to try to run it through that tall rough there, Jim. Now, he still doesn't have any barking.
Par 3 hole, and this is his third shot. It's just so fast you can't stop it.
And at that time, he was 5 under for the round.
Now his 5th shot. And it was a triple bogey 6 for Ian Woosnam. From there on, he was never able to get back into it. He wasn't alone. Scott Simpson was leading the championship yesterday. He put his tee shot in the bunker and back. You don't want to do that. Again, trying to be too delicate, I guess, Dave.
Yes, he said that lie was a little downhill, which produces a low sort of shot and hot, so that you brought the lake into play then.
Third shot. Couldn't stop it. Only the collar stopped it eventually. Fourth shot. Fifth shot. And again, a six, a triple bogey had taken someone out of contention. On the other hand, this was Curtis Strange trying to fight his way back into it yesterday on the same hole. In the end, it was not to be. And this was Faldo after the pickets were chanting. You could hear them outside the golf course. And he turned it into a birdie. And he's still in it. Billy Ray Brown looking it over.
If I hit it there, baby, we're in lots of trouble. Might help you.
Billy Ray going sort of an adventuresome route up to the right of two large oak trees and up over a forest of oaks, trying to hook it back into the fairway. That's at least the intended line of his second shot.
That's Jerry Pate talking out on the fairways with him. He's got a good look at it.
Well, an uphill line helps you to produce a pull or a hook, so we'll see what Billy Ray does.
JF. Oh, he hit a beautiful shot. Might have hooked it too much. Going to go through to the left side of the fairway, into the rough. But still, he made an aggressive play there. Now he can reach the green in 3. If he pitched out, there would be no way he could hit it in 3.
And it is a par 5. So Billy Ray will not give up. He's still only 2 shots behind Donald. Now Faldo at 18.
Jim, I'm standing up the fairway. It looks like he hit an iron off this tee. I'm very surprised. He
needs a birdie.
Well, he does, and it puts him 15 yards short of that bunker. He's going to have a very long second shot. I thought for sure he would go with a driver here.
Can you think of any reason, Dave, that he might have done that?
Well, obviously just wanted to put it in the fairway. I don't know that that was the right play at this particular time, and especially the left side of the fairway, I don't think gives him the best entry into the green here.
Now the leader in the rough on 14.
Well, that was a terrible lie. He got the ball out, but it rolled over into the left rough.
But again, it's a par 5. Can he get to the green?
He's got a long ways to go. Around 200 yards, Jim, and not a very good lie for his third shot. Sitting in the short rough, but the ball did sit down a bit.
That's the way they stand. Let's go over to Roger with a fine competitor.
Thank you very much, Jim. Jack Nicklaus joins us now. Jack, you birdied the first hole today. Looked like you were going to get yourself into this tournament.
Well, that was about all I did all day, Roger. I birdied the first hole, and then I gave it right back. And I have my problems on the back nine. I shot 40 on the back nine, and I was even par for 11 holes, and I needed to make something happen, and I went the other way. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Are you surprised that more people haven't gotten themselves back into this tournament? Norman made a charge early. Curtis was around for a while, but they've fallen back, and Donald's held very strong.
Well, the golf course is playing very difficult today. It's the wind is really swirling. You're not sure whether it's whether it's going to take the ball or not take the ball or what it's going to do. And of course that's what the history of Medina is. When we played here the last time, the wind came up and you just never knew what was going to happen. And the same thing's happening today. It just didn't happen early enough in the tournaments for Medina to totally win out.
Sure. We saw Nick Faldo make a bogey at 16. These last 3 holes are going to be really difficult coming in. Well, maybe not so much 18, but 16 and 17 appear to be.
Well, 16 is a very, very difficult place to get the ball anywhere near the pin or near the shot anywhere near. And, of course, 17 you can.
It's Mike Donald's third shot.
With a 5-iron from 194. Ooh, just carried the bunker. It's going to be through the green.
Well, it's running off the back of the green and onto the fringe now, so that's where he lies in 3 at that
was a
par
bad
4.
break. That was a bad break. He put an awfully nice shot there from where he was.
Now, I mentioned Nick Faldo a moment ago. He is looking at his second shot, and Jack, he went with an iron off the tee at 18.
Well, if I were 7 under par, I don't know what I would do right now, except I wasn't 7 under. So I don't know what was running through Nick's mind. Nick is obviously very confident with his iron play, and he's very confident with his putter. He must not have been quite as confident with his driver. And I think that the whole key to finishing a golf tournament is putting the ball in play on the 18th hole. And I just don't think I think he should have played the driver or a 3-wood to get it up far enough. The pin is in a very, very difficult position. And he's got a long, tough shot here.
Yeah, 212 tough.
heard his caddy say he's got 212. He also used an iron off the tee at 16. And Ed Snead, any reason why he would use an iron off the tee there that you can think of?
Well, I don't think it was a bad play at 16, and I'm not going to say it was a bad play here, but I was very surprised that Nick being one behind. Now, if Hale Irwin were still on the golf course, it might be a different story, but Hale is finished.
Well, Nick's as long as I am. Ed and I just knocked it over the bunker there just a few minutes ago, so I see no reason why he couldn't have knocked it over the bunker.
I would think he could have hit a driver and maybe be going in here with about a 7 or an 8 iron.
That's right.
But he's got a 3 now.
Right.
212 yards.
Oh, be right to me. Be right.
Guess he knows what he's doing.
He knew exactly what he's doing.
He knew what he was doing, Jack. What can I say?
No, you can't say a thing. And he put the ball in the right place to putt from, too.
Oh, that's what's so wonderful about this game. Everybody has a certain way they go about it.
Well, you know, he had a mindset. And his mindset was to put the ball in play and make sure that he had an iron to the hole. I mean, that's obviously what it had to be. He just didn't want to take any chance of playing out of the rough.
Now, out to 14, Billy Ray Brown, his 3rd shot.
That's a pitching wedge from 135 into the wind. Boy, it needs to get up just a little bit.
Safely on the green there.
Boy, he had a great shot, Rod.
14th, he'll have a long birdie putt. And our leader, Mike Donald, on the back fringe there at the 14th hole. And let's go back to Jim McKay.
Okay, Roger. Well, as you see on the leaderboard, we have a 4-way potential here, at least at the moment. But that looks like that's it. Mike Donald with the 1-shot lead. Hale Irwin finished with a round of 67 and a mammoth putt on the last hole. Nick Faldo here must make his birdie putt in order to have a chance at a playoff to tie Irwin and be 1 shot behind Donald. Billy Ray Brown can still fight his way mano a mano with Mike Donald as they play together down the final holes. That would appear to be it. So we could have a winner, or we could have a 2-way, a 3-way, or a 4-way playoff tomorrow. There you go. Plenty of fans for Nick Faldo, the current Masters champion. Lost this championship in a playoff 2 years ago to Curtis Strange. He's won the British Open. He's won the Masters twice. And there he is on the final green. On 14 now. We have the men who still have a long way to go, which means opportunity and trouble. Now, Jack, you've been so many times in the position that Mike Donald is in right now.
He's got a tough little shot here. Leading by 1 shot, probably about 60 feet from the hole, breaking a little bit right to left.
He birdied the first 2 holes and has parred every hole since. No bogeys today.
Didn't hit that one hard enough.
Nope.
Surprised he had quite that much of a lofted club, even though that is very swift going down there.
David, he played a sand wedge, and I felt like he should have hit a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. He had a very good lie and had a lot of green to work with. He just stubbed it a little bit, Jack.
Billy Ray Brown just showed him a ball. Is he taking that out of play?
Well, he's asking him or showing him the ball. You must show it to the guy. They have to agree that this ball, because of the drive or whatever shot Billy Ray scarred it up on.
Frank Hannigan, what's the rule on that? The rule on taking a ball out of play?
Well, the ball has to be cut so that it's no longer playable. It can't just be bruised or abrased, but it really has to be damaged so that it's unfit for play. And he has to get the agreement of his fellow competitor to do so.
Looked like that's what he was doing. Showed him the ball very clearly. Anyway, this is for a birdie. Could move him to within a shot of Donald, at least.
that won't get there.
Right you are, Jerry. Par, though, would keep him at 7 under. Now, Mike Donald for the par. If he misses this, he'll have his first bogey of the day and will drop into a tie for the lead with Hale Irwin, whose work is done for this championship, unless there's a playoff.
This putt is just a little bit uphill, going to break from right to left, and it's just enough uphill, Jack, wouldn't you say, where a player could go for this one with a firm, aggressive stroke?
Well, I think so, Jerry. The pin's sitting in a funny place. I had a putt down about 6 feet from there, and it looked to me like the putt might go a little bit left, and the putt ended up going right. So if that holds true with Mike's putt, he doesn't have quite as much break as he's looking at. And the slope off the front of the green holds the ball from breaking. Now, I can't tell from here exactly how much it's going to break, but it's his probably should come a little bit left, but I don't think it'll come quite as much as he thinks. Let's hope he reads it right.
Oh, boy. Drilled it. Huh? He read it right, Jack.
Yep, it didn't break very much, did it?
No, it didn't. Great par. 12 at the drive.
That's why I guess I got to get my 50-year-old eyes checked.
Yes,
Oh, here's a guy who's had something of a reputation for having a good early round and then backing off, but he has not backed off once today. Faldo now. He must make this putt to have any chance. Oh! Boy, huh? How close can you come? So there'll be no Grand Slam this year.
I think you can tell by the look on his face he thought he'd made that.
Yeah. Billy Ray Brown safely in with his par. Looked like he had an opportunity to gain on Donald, but not so. Mike Donald holding fast. Now Nick has to zero in a little bit and make the last one.
Well, that's quite a letdown there, too, because you know, he, as Jack said, that he really thought he'd made that, and it's got to be in the back of his mind that, hey, if I can win this one, wouldn't it be exciting at the Open at St. Andrews?
Okay. Nick Faldo taking his par, having a 3-under par round of 69 to add to earlier rounds of 72, 72, and 68. And on he'll go to St. Andrews. And we'll be there too. And so will you, Jack.
I'll be there.
Here it is again.
Well, that ball did break sharp, didn't it?
Yeah, and it was going with good speed to it, too.
We noticed that 7 of the last 10 players who've gone through have bogeyed 16. We have that to look forward to with the last pairing. And there it is. Faldo and Irwin can do no more. Donald and Brown have plenty of room to go one way or the other. Norman is finished. Tim Simpson's still out there, but it's fading. Fuzzy Zeller, only 2 holes to play. Mark Brooks, 4 holes left. He'd have to really charge. More of the leaders, those who have played very well in this year's U.S. Open. 15th tee. Short par 4. Jack, how about this one today? How's it playing?
Tough, Jim. It's, normally it's a 3-wood off the tee. It's 243 yards to carry that bunker. And I don't think you can carry it into that wind, so the driver really is hit right into the narrowest part of that fairway with the trees on the right and the bunker. Well, he looks like he striped it.
Yeah.
Perfectly played.
Okay.
Beautiful tee shot. That was a tough tee shot today.
It's a lot harder hole. You see 384 and you think, well, gee, it looks like a birdie hole. It's giving players fits, that little hole.
Little driver and 5 or 6 iron today.
Yes, a lot of people, frankly, thought, there you go with the 15th. Look at that. It's the shape of it.
The pin's in the back right today, and that's a very, very difficult pin position. You've got to hit the ball underneath the hole to have any chance at all.
Go the other one. Go the other one.
Oh, just did kiss the bunker.
No. Oh, dear.
He can play from that bunker. It's not that bad, though.
You know, a lot of people thought going into this final day that Mike Donald, who's had 1 win in 11 years, and Billy Ray Brown, playing his first U.S. Open, might fold. So far, they've showed no signs of it. Curtis Strange. Oh, yes. Seems a little late. But on he goes, and we'll return with more golf action from the 1990 U.S. Open Golf Championship after this message and a word from our ABC stations. That's the clubhouse at Medina, and here are the leaders. Mike Donald still by 1 over Hale Irwin, but he's in a bunker at the moment. 15. Nick Faldo just finished up his round. Billy Ray Brown out there with Mike Donald. Olazabal of Spain still having a good Open. Fuzzy Zeller, former Open champion, played extremely well here. Steve Jones shot 67 today. Larry Mize there. Did not play as well today, or hasn't been up to 17. Billy Ray Brown.
Billy Ray has 135. Into the wind with a 9-iron. Pin is all the way back, 21 deep.
That was a big tee shot there, wasn't it, Jerry?
He really worked on that one, Jack.
Mike Donald has already hit it out of the bunker. We'll show you that in a minute. He obviously was away.
Pretty long wind.
That's actually an 8-iron. He's just knocked it down, and it looks good. Needs to get up.
Yeah, backed off.
And you can hear the caddy say, leave it alone, win. So tried to play a good shot. I mean, the right shot. Not to force a 9-iron back there.
You saw the other ball on the green, so that leads our story a little bit, because on tape, I'm sure we'll be seeing Mike Donald's shot. There. Tee shot was in the bunker, remember. And you, Jack, said that he could play it.
He's probably playing a 6 or 7 iron, probably a 7 iron.
Get back to the hole.
And playing it well. How about that? So they're both on.
And they're both on the right part of the green to putt to.
Looking like match play at the moment. I'm sure Jack Whitaker has some views on the situation.
Well, Jim, thank you. It's quite simple. If you're just joining us, you've missed an incredible afternoon in United States Open history. The situation has come down to this now in the last hour. Hale Irwin has finished and posted 8 under. And he and the rest of the world are watching to see if Mike Donald can hold on at 9 under par. It is Mike Donald's tournament now to win or lose. He faces, first of all, the 8 under par posted by Hale Irwin and his playing partner, Billy Ray Brown. He is master of his fate at this moment, and it must be very lonely. Jim?
Thank you, Jack, and here he is. 11 years out there, 1 victory. That came last year, the Anheuser-Busch Classic in Williamsburg, Virginia. Has not had an outstanding season so far this year. If you look at Mike's record, he tied for 5th in the Atlantic Golf Classic. Aside from that, you see 5 times that he missed the cut, and you see ties for 65th and tied for 35th and things like that. And suddenly, after a week off, it's come together.
Maybe he'll learn to take a little time off, because he does play so much. They call him Iron Mike. He plays more than anybody, and certainly has in the last 10 years.
And Curtis Strange playing out the string at this point. 3rd consecutive Open championship, not to be. That'll be a par for Curtis, number 17. Remaining at 2 under for the championship, but 3 over for the day.
He'll look back at that wedge shot at 7 was when it all started going bad for him.
Mike Donald. Yet another chance to go 10 under, and Jack, the historians of the USGA tell us that as far as research has shown. Nobody at any moment in history has ever been 10 under in the U.S. Open.
Well, I don't recall it, Jim. I certainly don't. Obviously, it must be so.
Well, you hold most of the scoring records.
That's
you
right.
never got to 10.
I wasn't even close. I think I got, what was I, 8 under at Baltusrol?
That's the record.
Uphill from about 45 feet. Big left to right break.
Better hit it.
Big break.
Not quite enough.
Yeah, it's a very slow putt.
And Billy Ray had an opportunity to watch that one.
You haven't had a chance to watch Mike Donald today, Jack, but he has just played some marvelous shots starting right out. And his speed in putting has been very good. And the two times where it looked like he might bogey, there at 12 and at 14, he made both of those putts right in the heart.
Well, the little putt that he has right here, that's a new green, the 15th green. And I noticed as I was passing through there today that it was getting a little spiked up around the hole. And with that grain in the spike, he's got a touchy little putt left.
Still not quite enough.
Yeah, he had it right on land, though. Looked like his wife Cindy there was gasping for air, trying to get some deep breaths.
Wouldn't you be?
Oh, yes.
Ah.
You know, David, I wouldn't count Billy Ray out of this championship
all.
by any stretch of anyone's imagination. He's playing well. He's hit enough good shots to have confidence, and he's hit one or two scrambling poor shots and then recovered nicely. So, you know, a couple birdies, he could win it just as easily as Donald.
Well, you know, he started off at 7 under. He got it to 8 under, but then he bogeyed or double bogeyed 7, birdied 8, bogeyed 9. Then had a birdie on 11 and part everything else.
What I liked about Billy Ray's round today was after the double bogey at 7, he came right back and birdied 8.
Yep.
I mean, if you were going south, you wouldn't have hit that shot that he hit and make the putt.
Hale Irwin watching in our commentary position. They say they also serve who only stand and wait. If so, he's serving well. Down again. Why don't we meet Hale again with Roger?
Okay, thank you very much, Jim. And Hale, I know you've been watching. You've been in the press room, and Mike Donald birdied the first 2 holes, and he's made some great par saves here coming down the stretch.
Well, Mike is he's been around a while.
Yeah.
He's not a veteran of a lot of wins, but Mike has always been a good player, and I think he's finally developed a sense of what it takes to win, and he's proving, just as we're seeing him play, that he is just one of those players out there that is learning of himself, and he's got the game, and I think we have to give him credit. He's made some fabulous, played some fabulous golf today.
You could be at 45 the oldest man ever to win an Open if things would work out right.
Well, I don't think Mike's thinking of that. That would be wonderful. Any Open, I'd like to be, as your colleague, Mr. Nicholas, at 18 years old. He's had a pretty good career.
Yeah.
Fair career for an old guy.
Yeah.
And if we're sitting over here kidding with Jack, but it would be very nice. I don't feel old.
Yeah.
I think you let yourself feel old, and I've tried to keep myself somewhat in shape. I've tried to keep myself thinking that I could still play, and maybe there's still some life in this player yet.
Billy Ray Brown on the tee now at 16.
Billy just taking a 2-iron off this tee, hole playing downwind. Perfect position there.
Jack, you got a question for Hale?
Yeah, Hale, you played with Greg today. And everybody expected Greg to shoot that great round, and he got off to a great start. And it looked like, I think if you're Greg's playing partner, it's almost like he takes you with him, for those first few holes. And everybody's looking at Greg, and you're right there, and all of a sudden you start going. I mean, I watched the leaderboard and as I watched out there, I said, Irwin's the guy you're going to have to watch right now. And that was with about 7 or 8 holes to go. Did you is that sort of what you felt?
Well, Greg was putting on his normal scoring barrage, but he wasn't playing great. He birdied the 5th hole, driving it in the right bunker. He birdied the 6th hole, driving it in the right rough and playing the shot low, and how he got it out of that heavy rough. He birdied 10 from the right bunker.
But the point I'm making, is that the pressure is on him,
right?
Not you at that point.
The only thing I kept saying to myself was, just keep going. And keep going and feed off of that if you can. And as you say, you see it oftentimes where one will spur the other. And I think that momentum swing happened very quickly. I mean, I ran off 4 birdies in a row, and it was all of a sudden on top of me.
Those birdies, though, when you made 4 in a row, 3 of them were within, about 10 feet?
Oh, they were less than that. Number 11 was 6 feet, and number 12 was 3 feet, or maybe 4 feet, and number 13 was 2 feet. And the longest was a real long one at 14. It was 12 feet. So,
well, let's take a look now. I know when you were out there, Hale, obviously concerned with what you're doing. This is what Mike Donald did on the first hole. This is a birdie putt for Mike. And if there were any jitters at all, that probably dispelled them right there.
Anytime you can start like that, it really helps you get under control.
Now, the second hole, that difficult par 3, and this is what Mike Donald did with his tee shot.
Ooh. Do I have to watch this?
We're going to make it. He got off to this start, hitting some good shots in the first 2 holes. Now this putt for birdie, and this to get him to 9 under par. And so there you have it. He birdies the first 2 holes. He gets himself to 9 under par. He gets himself in good position. And now we'll move to Hale Irwin at 18. And this putt for birdie, were you trying to make this or trying to get it down in 2?
No, you got to try and make it. At this particular juncture, you've got to give it your best shot and your best run. And what can you do except give it your best shot? I remember Jack Nicklaus jumping 6 feet off the ground. Who'd ever look at him now and think he could do it?
You look like you might just intercepted it.
Wait a minute. You're not 45. Look at you right around that green.
I was going to say, Jack, looked like he just intercepted a pass at Colorado and was running it back for a TD.
That never happened, though.
Now, 18, second shot for Curtis Strange.
Curtis is 180 yards from the hole.
Okay.
5 iron out.
Okay.
Stay there.
Safely on.
Very, very disappointed with his iron game today. Just came over and talked to me. But he really didn't play very well.
They'll receive him here in just a minute. Meanwhile, we'll go back to the leader, Mike Donald. All right, now, Jack, 16 seems to have been playing with great difficulty today for most of the golfers.
Well, 16 off the tee. I think fellas are playing a little bit shorter club. I played a 5-wood off the tee, which most of the fellas are probably playing a 1-iron or a 2-iron, and they're trying to put it into a position to where they can play about a 5-iron to the green. And I think that Mike looks like he's about in that position, but the wind is really tricky there. I think that it can either take your second shot or knock it down. I know it knocked my ball down into the bunker, and I hit a good solid shot. Now, you've got to get it up, and you've got to let it ride a little bit from the wind coming left, right, and behind you.
Jack, I was almost in the exact spot where Mike is and hit a 3-iron.
Boy, he's bailed that one out to the right. Not a good shot at all.
Nope. In the bunker. You see it right there at the bottom of the bunker.
Well, if he had to miss this green, that would be the best place to miss it with the flag back. He's going to have somewhat of an easier shot out of that bunker than he would in the rough.
He has space, but it's not a very easy bunker shot.
Jack, Peter Allis was saying earlier that he thinks maybe the most dramatic development in the game in the last few years has been the way all of you fellas have made the up and down semi-automatic out of the bunker.
I don't know who he's talking about. Don't include me in that list.
He's not talking about Jack.
All right. You want me to be impolite, David? Give me a break.
No, I think that a lot has happened. I think that courses are making a much bigger effort nowadays to.
That's a 5-iron, right? Oh, right at the
bunker again.
flag. Just didn't get up. That was a lot of
Wind
ground to
can get it.
cover.
Yep.
200 yards.
But I think the courses are making a lot bigger effort, Jim, to put better sand and get the courses in better condition. And as a result, the fellas are getting better with their bunker shots.
Good point. Here was the reception for Curtis Strange a few seconds ago. So in that shadowy battle, the ghost of Willie Anderson has won today. He is still the only man to have won 3 U.S. Opens in a row. But Curtis sure gave it a try. There it is. Well, Donald by 1 in the bunker. Irwin sitting up with us with that 67 today. Faldo is out of it. Billy Ray Brown is in it, but he's in the bunker. All of these just out of the competition right now, but can go home with some satisfaction. They played the U.S. Open very well at Medina in '90. I pick out some of your favorites there. Jimmy Benaby had a lot of supporters. He went to Northwestern University and won his only tournament here, the Western Open, the first tournament he ever played in. Ian Woosnam ended up at 2 under. Larry Nelson at 2 under, did not play well today. Azinger and Ozaki. Mike Reed dropped back today. Phil Mickelson, the low amateur, at even par, and that's a great performance. He's the left-hander from Arizona State. You'll be hearing a lot about him. He's still in school. David Frost, South African, 1 over. Bobby Watkins, brother to Lanny. Steve Pate, no kin to Jerry. Tway, the former PGA champion. Aoki from Japan. 10 years ago, he battled it out with you, Jack. Mark Brooks for a birdie. But that puts him at 5 under, and he only has 1 hole left to play. Yes, that was yesterday when he threw it in the water.
He told me he was going to throw it in there no matter what.
Oh, this is today again.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were throwing tape up on me there.
No.
Curtis at 18. And the par tap in for Curtis will give him a 3 over par round, 75. Now, Mike Donald.
He has about an 80-foot bunker shot with about 50 of that to carry the bunker. Wasn't a good lie. And he hit a fine shot out of that lie. The ball was sitting kind of down.
Well, I don't know how long a man can keep making putts like that for par, and he's made a couple of them today. That's his mother. Mike is a bachelor. Most of the men battling for this title have been fathers on this Father's Day. Now Billy Ray looking it over. His first U.S. Open ever. What a job he's done.
Billy Ray with a much easier bunker shot, Jim. Better lie, a lot closer to the flagstick. He can hit this ball up and spin it. Try to keep it below the hole.
Yep, pulled up on him. So, beginning to run out of holes.
Those automatic up and downs you were talking about are
yes.
a little bit of work, Jim.
What happens to them in the last 3 holes of the U.S. Open?
It's a little different, but you see an awful lot of good bunker play and better bunker play, I think, through the years.
Oh, yeah.
Hale Irwin, the 16th hole here at Medina has been one of the most difficult. Mike Donald now out of the bunker, and he's left himself a bit of a downhill putt for par.
Well, the difficult part, as we've talked before, is that you really can't see. You can see the flagstick, but you can't see the putting surface. And where Mike was playing from, there's a more of a hill in the fairway that obscures the green. It is a hard shot. As Jack mentioned, the wind is playing havoc with the shot up in the air. Now, the putt he has is going to be downhill, and it should swing to his right somewhat. I had a putt coming right up the hill, I thought, that was, again, straight, but it broke to my left, which is, as we're seeing it now, is to the right. But again, Mike has been stroking the ball extremely well and obviously reading the greens well.
How much faster, if any, were the greens today than in previous days?
I don't think they were that much faster. Again, with the overnight rain we had, we never achieved that open speed that we've talked about, and those of us that have played through the years have seen some of the really fast greens. Unfortunately, the weather just did not permit that this week.
Mike Donald has not made a bogey today. This putt for par to maintain a one-shot lead over Hale Irwin.
Starting to get interesting.
How do you feel now?
I feel one stroke better.
We're now tied. Hale Irwin, Mike Donald at 8 under par. First bogey of the day for Mike Donald, who had made a couple of beautiful saves here on the backside for par. And 2 holes left to play, the most difficult 17th, the par 3, and then the par 4 18th. Now Billy Ray Brown, he has this putt also for par to remain one shot back at 7 under.
I had that identical putt earlier, and that putt looks like it breaks left, but mine tailed right.
Billy Ray Brown will drop to 6 under, 2 out of the lead, but we have a tie between Irwin and Donald. Donald has 2 to play. Golf has been a hard game for tall men. Kerry Middlecoff was a 6 feet 3 inch bundle of nerves from Tennessee. He won the first Open played here at Medina in 1949. Middlecoff was a great driver of the ball with a singular swing idiosyncrasy. He did a full stop at the top. Middlecoff, a bright and intense man, practiced dentistry as a young U.S. Army officer before he turned pro. The 17th is a par 3. Our associate producer, Ben Harvey, said that it should be called the Lake Kadijah Triangle. Many golfers have been known to enter here and never be heard from again. That was certainly true of Ian Woosnam. It was true of Scott Simpson. Mike Donald on trial now.
This hole playing 154 downhill. The wind has died down somewhat. Not much of a factor. Mike with an 8-iron.
Boy, what a good-looking shot.
And look where his fellow competitor is, who hit before him, Billy Ray Brown. They both bogeyed the 16th hole. Billy Ray would have to birdie the last 2 to have a chance at a playoff. And here was the shot.
ABC's coverage of the 1990 U.S. Open Golf Championship continues.
Will it be 34-year-old Mike Donald, the 11-year touring pro, the journeyman? Or will it be Hale Irwin winning his 3rd United States Open? Nobody's ever won exactly 3 in their careers. There are people who won 4, a number who have won 2. Nobody's ever won exactly 3. Or will Billy Ray Brown sneak in there and force a 2- or 3-way playoff? Well, first, Donald on 17.
All day this putt hasn't been as fast as people think it is. All the players are playing more break.
A little tentative on that, Jack?
Well, I just think the green reads that way. I mean, it reads that it's going to be faster than that and it's going to break more than that. And I've seen, at least I did that, and I saw several other people do that.
Sure.
You leave yourself one that you really don't want to make. I mean, that you have to make, I mean.
Looking forward to 18. Does Donald play in any way conservatively for a par to force a playoff? Or try to make birdie. Now, Billy Ray has to make this and then birdie 18 to have a chance. He's got one. So he moves to 7 under, 1 stroke behind Donald and Irwin. Again, if you weren't with us, Hale Irwin, at age 45, who would be the oldest man ever to win the U.S. Open by about 2 years over Ray Floyd, remember when he won at Shinnecock. Irwin shot 67 today and made a mammoth putt of about 60 feet on the last hole to do it. Making sure of this one, Jack.
Yeah, I think he's he wants to get this one in, that's for sure. And it's not quite as easy as it looks. I mean, it's a little downhill putt, and it's one you better strike solidly.
Hale Irwin watches. He makes it. Boy, no matter what happens,
good effort.
This man deserves a lot of credit today. Let's go over to Roger and Hale now.
Hale Irwin, 1 hole left for Mike Donald and Billy Ray Brown. Of course, Billy Ray needs a birdie to get to 800. Mike Donald now at 8 under par. How's 18 playing? How did you play the hole?
Well, the wind setting up left to right off the tee is, I think it's uncomfortable for most of us that play on the right side. It's only 27 yards across from cut to cut, and you must hit that fairway. With a pin behind the bunker, if you don't hit the fairway, you've got a very difficult second shot.
Now, even though we all know if there is a playoff, it's a Monday, you got to go play 18 holes. If you had a preference, though, would you rather just get it finished today?
Well, if I was warm and hadn't been sitting around for a while, yes, I would have. But I think to go out the way I did and then be sitting for a couple hours would be very difficult to regenerate that same momentum, that same excitement.
Have you ever made such a long, meaningful putt in your career?
No, I never have. I've made some putts that were meaningful at the time, but nothing with the weight that this one presented itself. It was quite a Father's Day gift.
And happy Father's Day to everyone. Let's go back to Jim McKay.
Okay, he must birdie this hole to have a chance.
Boy, he made a perfect swing at that one. It's hot down the right-hand side.
Okay, there it is. Now Mike Donald, if he pars, there will be a playoff. If he birdies, he wins. If he bogeys, he loses.
Dotted in red. Give me that.
All the years he's been out there. And finally, here's the opportunity. Think that's a 3-wood, Jack?
Well, I think that's a pretty good play. As Hale was saying, with the wind off to the left, it's a very difficult very difficult shot for guys who play right-handed. And he's trying to control the ball and not lose it right with that wind.
Come back, baby.
I started out down the right-hand side. Needs to get left.
You heard him say, come back, baby.
Oh, good bounce left.
And it, It bounced the right way for Mike Donald. The final hole. The man watches who's been waiting so long, and still the wait isn't over. Only half a hole to play for the final pairing, and still Irwin could be the winner today. Donald could be the winner today. They could finish in a tie, or they could finish in a tie with Billy Ray Brown, and all three of them would go 18 holes tomorrow. Should there be a playoff, by the way, ABC Sports will be here from 4 to 5:30 Eastern Time. But it can't come down any further than this.
unusual situation with Mike playing out of the rough. Usually playing out of the rough in the U.S. Open with a pin over a knob on a downslope, it's difficult to stop. But as soft as this course is, even though he's in the rough, he can still throw the ball in and stop it, which is unusual for U.S. Open.
Right. Billy Ray.
He has 184. This hole playing slightly downwind left to right with a 6-iron. He's got to get all over the 6-iron if he's going to get it back there.
Okay, Jerry. Jerry Pate on the fairway.
Well, he got all over that one, I want to tell you.
Oh, boy.
That was a good shot.
If your nerves are fragile, maybe you better leave us now. We'll tell you about it later.
It's a pretty good shot, wasn't it?
Gorgeous shot, wasn't it, Jack? Now Mike Donald.
Mike has 172 in the short cut. The ball's sitting down quite a bit. The only advantage is the pin is back 24 yards, and he has quite a bit of green to work with.
He does have the right angle, though, doesn't he, Jerry?
Sure does, Jack. Looks like he's taking a 8-iron, a very lofted club, so he's going to hope for a flyer.
Well, he's still got the ability to stop it on the green, remember.
Okay.
Oh, get down.
Long, long way. That's almost where Hale Irwin was when he made the putt earlier today. Now, neither of these fellas, there's Hale. Neither of these fellas has ever heard anything on a golf course aimed at them like they're going to hear when they walk up on this green. You have, Jack.
Yeah, they're going to experience something that you can only find at a U.S. Open or in any other major championship, where people are excited about the finish, excited to appreciate their play, and it's something they'll long remember.
Here comes the tribute as the crowd begins to build. They'll be on their feet. Many thought they would fold. Neither one has, no matter how it turns out. For those of you watching in Europe, whistling in America is a cheer, not a jeer. Now they have to get back to business. Now, that's where Hale Irwin was. Perhaps you weren't with us earlier. Almost the same putt. Here is what Hale Irwin did with it when he needed it. Was that the putt that won the U.S. Open? Play that back a few times at home, I'll bet, Hale. Well, we'll see what's going to happen here. Now, for Hale to win today, Mike Donald has to 3-putt. For Mike to win, he's got to duplicate Hale Irwin's putt. The odds against that would be phenomenal. Huh?
Well, don't leave Billy Ray out.
Oh, no.
He's got a makeable putt there. So,
ask Hale, was that an easy putt or a hard putt?
How do you make it?
Well, as we've seen before, it can be made.
Was there a lot of break in it, Hale?
There is. I played from where I was. I think Mike's just a little further out, but I played about 5 feet of break.
How long do you think it was? 60 feet?
Oh, I don't know if it's 60. I would say it's probably more like 58.
58.
I think it's probably about 45, 50 feet.
Okay. Mike Donald with the putt that would win the U.S. Open. Billy Ray looking away.
Get in!
Do you believe it? Whew. Whew. There's his mom. Again, Mike is a bachelor. Now, we could still have a three-way playoff tomorrow if this man makes this putt.
Fairly similar to the putt that Faldo had, wasn't it?
Think so, yeah.
Close, yeah. Broke really sharp.
So Hale Irwin can breathe a little bit. He can't lose the Open today. Yeah, that's very, very similar to Faldo's putt that just spun off the right side of the cup when he needed it. "11 years on tour, and finally it comes to this for Mike."
Billy Ray's just a little higher on the green.
Mm-hmm. By what? An inch? An inch and a half? He misses his chance. In his first U.S. Open, Billy Ray Brown will be back. You can go back to Missouri City, Texas with your head high. Your head held high, Billy Ray. Round of 72, even par today. With earlier rounds of 69, 71, and 69. Not over par on any round. No such thing as a gimme in the U.S. Open. Just far enough away. It'll be a playoff tomorrow. 18 holes. Hale Irwin at age 45. Mike Donald at age 34. For Irwin, his chance to win a third Open. For Mike Donald, his first chance, perhaps the only chance of a lifetime. There are his scores, 67, 70, 72, and 71. Grant Spaeth, the president of the USGA, almost got a finger in his eye there by accident. So, Jack, what do you think?
I think Mike just played fantastic coming down the stretch. I think that both Hale and Mike are going to have a good game tomorrow. I think that Hale is, coming off of an awfully strong round today. I think his confidence is going to be up, but of course Mike's confidence has got to be up too. He's had all the pressure on him all day, and he's come through beautifully.
Roger, let's see what Hale has to say about that.
Well, Hale, what was shaking worse, the hands, the stomach, or the legs right there?
Well, it's not a enviable position to be in terms of watching. You'd almost rather be out there playing, having to affect the outcome somewhat. Again, I can only echo what Jack has just said, that Mike has held up very, very well, as attested by the scores he shot and his consistency through the week. When it came down to when he had to play well, and forgetting the 16th hole, but he got off to a good start and he's played well. So I think we'll have a good go at it tomorrow. The difficult part, I think, for me will be to, again, bring back that same sort of adrenaline surge that I had here early, and my scores were a little up and down for the week. They weren't the consistent pattern that Mike had, but all in all, I think we're earlier in the week, I would have been happy at 288. Never would I have thought that 8 under par would tie for this championship.
What does this mean to you at this point of your career, at 45 years of age, to have achieved this level of golf once again?
Well, I think it just, again, gives me some feedback in that I'm not really ready to go out there and go away. I enjoy the competition. You know, I look at Jack Nicklaus, who has played so well for so long, and I've admired the way he stays in there and stays competitive. And I think that's what you have to do to stay competitive. You have to really think you can do it, and I do believe I can do it. But as we see here, there's some young players who also think the same thing.
Hale, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon here at Medina in the playoff against Mike Donald.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more from the United States Open Championship in a moment.
Well, the 1990 United States Open isn't over yet. It won't be until tomorrow afternoon, since this is the only tournament in the world that has an 18-hole playoff on Monday in case of ties. But what a tournament it has been. It started slowly enough the first 2 days, with the scoreboards giving off a red, cheery glow with a record number of subpar rounds. But yesterday, in the third round, it sorted itself out and presented us with a marvelous leaderboard. The Chicago Tribune had one of the great headlines of the year. It said, Open Dream Field, and that's what it was. And everybody had a shot at it. 31 players within 5 shots. Jack Nicklaus going for a 5th win. He fired and fell back. Nick Faldo trying to keep alive the Grand Slam, fired and fell back. Greg Norman trying for his first win, fired and fell back. And then it was 45-year-old Hale Irwin with a heroic putt here at the final hole that lifted this championship still another notch. And Mike Donald hanging on to force the playoff. I think of one word for Hale Irwin, heroic, one word for Mike Donald, brave, and whoever wins tomorrow will be a quality champion. Jim?
Right, Jack, and there's Mike Donald still checking over his scorecard.
Championship will begin at 1 p.m. on the first tee.
He'll be back tomorrow.